All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this afternoon's NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series DQS Solutions 200 at Michigan International Speedway for this weekend's next NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, the 13 out of 18th race on the season. Six races left in the regular season already for the Truck Series. Obviously, much shorter season than that of Cup and Xfinity. And we go to Michigan International Speedway for the first time in several years for the truck side. We have seen the Xfinity and Cup cars race here for the longest time, but Xfinity Series now not racing at Michigan this year, where the trucks will be. And one truck in particular has been dominating the season thus far, driver Corey Heim. Heim comes in with a two-race lead over second Daniel Hemrick in the current point standings in the race for that regular season championship. He's pacing right now that he can end up clinching the race or the regular season championship a few races early, let alone the fact that he has two races up. He could be three up by the time the postseason begins. 812 laps led for Corey Heim already this season. He could end up with 1,000 before the postseason begins as well, which is insane because these truck races are not very long in distance as well compared to the Cup Series. 10 top 10 finishes so far this year in the 12 races, 8 top 5s in the 12 races, 4 race wins. He's won a third of the races so far this year. He'll be going for win number 5 here today. And he's got a couple of Cup regulars who are in the field to try to compete with him, one of which is standing right by Carson Hocevar.
More fun, especially with Raj winning yet last week. It just makes me more excited to get in these things. And we qualify second, so we have a lot of speed. Last time I got in these things, we won. And number one is more, it's so tough on Sundays to win, so it's a lot of fun to come here and it's a little easier than Sundays so far.
You mentioned the last time you were in a truck, you won. Of course, do you think you have a truck here today to replicate that at your home track?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully so. I mean, if you race off Cheers and how many people are here, I think we'd have them all be. It's super cool, to come here, just now in my NASCAR career, right? Have a truck race at home, and just see how many people are even here just for Saturday, and how many friends I have, how much family, everything. So hopefully we can win this truck race. I get to go home to the house, get the trophy, my parents, my dog, my grandparents, everybody. So hopefully we can do that.
Thanks for your time. Good luck to you. Carson, host of our five-time winner in the Truck Series, looking for win number 6 today. Jamie?
One of those wins did come earlier this season. Carson Hocevar got a win at Kansas Speedway in one of his couple truck starts already in 2025. There have been 3 Cup regulars to win a truck race, obviously Hocevar being one of which. Kyle Busch had a win at Atlanta this season and a win for Kyle Larson at Homestead Miami Speedway are the 3. See if the starting lineup has been posted onto NASCAR.com for the raw feed side of things yet because it was unavailable the last time I checked. Nope. Yeah, still unavailable. Slightly delayed start time for this Truck Series race considering practice went a bit long for the Cup Series. There were a few cautions for flat tires during that session. And now we'll get into the pre-race ceremony side of things so you can listen into the national anthem and the rest to follow along with that.
Location. Please welcome from St. Francis de Sales High School, Father Jeff Rose.
Almighty God, we thank you for a beautiful day here at Michigan International Speedway. We ask your blessing on, and we thank all those that make this wonderful weekend possible. We thank you for the incredible fans gathered here this afternoon as well. And we ask your blessing on the servicemen and women who keep us safe each and every day. Bring them home to us soon. And we ask that you keep our drivers and team safe as they compete for us today. We ask all these things with great faith, hope, and love. Amen.
Here to perform the Canadian anthem, please welcome Michigan International Speedway's own Lisa Basco.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us commands. With glowing hearts, we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free, from far and wide. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on God for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on God for thee.
Here to perform the Star Spangled Banner, please welcome the Airport High School Band. From Lisa Bascom and the Airport High School Band for their performances of the Canadian Anthem and the Star Spangled Banner.
All right. Time to go through the starting lineup for today's Craftsman Truck Series event in Brooklyn, Michigan. Tanner Gray on the pole for yet again this season, looking to have a first career win potentially at a track where Tricon Garage has been running very good this season out of the 11 camp for Corey Heim, but maybe lacking a bit on the speed side of things for everybody else. Gray looking to turn that around today. Luke Fenhouse outside of row number 1. Speaking of lacking speed, Thor Sport Racing has not gone to victory lane yet this season. We'll see if they can do it for the first time this year. Fenhouse in the 66, only running part-time this year. But in his several races, he does seem to be getting better on a race-to-race basis. So on the front row, we'll see what he can do. Ross Chastain, our highest qualifying of the 2 Cup regulars in the field today, will start inside of row number 2 in the Nice Motorsport 44 alongside Chandler Smith. And row number 3 will be Tyler Ankrum, a one-time winner this season at Rockingham, and Carson Hocevar, who won at Kansas earlier this year. And again, Hocevar, the second of the 2 Cup regulars in today's field. Lane Riggs still searching for his first win, but he's been close over the last several weeks. A couple of runner-ups in the last few races at North Wilkesboro, and again last week at Nashville. Ty Majeski will be starting in the in row 4 to the outside, in the 8th spot. Corey Heim, the most winningest driver this season, as well as the points leader for the Truck Series inside of row 5 with Caden Honeycutt to the outside. Andres Perez and Grant Enfinger will make up row 6. Last week's winner at Nashville, Raja Karuth inside of row 7 alongside Matt Crafton. Dawson Sutton, Jake Garcia making up row number 8. Row 9 for Gio Ruggiero and Ben Rhodes. Connor Mosack, Stuart Friesen in row 10. Jack Wood, Wallace Allen in row number 11. Row 12 for Matt Mills and Corey LaJoy, who will be making his first of 12 truck starts this season for Spire Motorsports in the 07. Daniel Hemrick, who comes in second in points, 1 win on the year, will be deep in the field inside of row 13 for the start for him today. To his outside will be Josh Rayum. Frankie Muniz and Tony Breidinger make up row 14. Row 15 for Nathan Bird and Morgan Baird. Spencer Boyd, Norm Benning will round out our 32 truck field here this afternoon at Michigan as they make up row 16. 250 miles are scheduled distance today, 125 laps. Stage 1 and 2 will each be 30 laps, with the final stage making up the entire finish of the race after that 65 laps around this 2-mile oval. 71 degrees, wind at 6 to 11 miles an hour. Not too heavy. a lot calmer on the win side of things from where they were last year. And who will break through to victory lane in that? Most of these truck races at Michigan, about 100 laps, but this one 125. Showing a replay from practice where Ben Rhodes had gotten up against the fence in turns 3 and 4. And here is Ben Rhodes with Josh Sims from earlier.
To a 50-minute session of practice. So, how are you feeling going into this race, not getting the practice you wanted as you try and turn things around for your season?
Yeah, it's tough. We don't get very many of those practice sessions, so we really wanted to utilize that. But it's okay. I mean, we did the best we could with adjustments, but mainly it was just all about getting our Bomberito Ford F-150 repaired yesterday. So it's back to one piece, qualified ninth, and, hopefully we got a good piece under us for the race.
Good luck, man.
Well, Regan, Michael, what do you think? His chances are today. I know they got that hiccup out of the way, and the truck is all good and ready to go now.
Well, I think the good news for Ben is he's still in the primary truck, right? We saw that contact with the wall. Wasn't too severe to where they had to go to a backup truck. So that's the good news. The bad news is obviously he didn't get to learn what he wants to learn on it. But Ben Rhodes is a champion for a reason, Michael. And it's because when he's at moments of adversity, he can step up and find a way to get it done.
And what a strong qualifying session it was for his teammates too. And that those practices yesterday were very valuable for this organization. So they will share those notes. Everybody's going to know what each other has, and that'll help Ben.
Well, right now, I told you, he's had a 4-week stretch outside the top 10, so that has him below the cut line. You see Ben Rhodes down there, 51 points back. But guys, look who's above him below. Some big names.
Definitely some big.
Yeah, we'll go over that in more detail since you guys can't see the graphic on that screen that Fox is showing. I could probably do a better job than them. Not toot my own horn, but we'll go through it more in depth here. I mentioned Corey Heim leading the regular season championship by over 2 races over Daniel Hemrick already. But as far as the playoff situation goes, 10 drivers locked themselves into the Truck Series playoff field. 5 truck regulars have gotten a win this season, so only 5 spots left open with 6 regular season races to go. Those drivers locked in with wins would be 4 wins for Corey Heim, 2 for Chandler Smith, 3 drivers with 1 win being Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Ankrum, and last week Raja Caruth winning at Nashville. The 5 drivers, I should say, above the cutoff line on points would be Grant Enfinger, Lane Riggs, Caden Honeycutt, Jake Garcia, and Ty Majeski. Majeski holds the last spot over Stuart Friesen by 48 points, or over Gio Ruggiero by 48 points, and then Stuart Friesen is a point behind Ruggiero. And then a little bit further back will be Ben Rhodes and Tanner Gray in the standings. So pretty tight between 11th through really 10th. Raja Caruth being 10th in the points overall, but having the win and locking himself in has created a bigger points gap between what would now be 10th on the playoff grid with Majeski and then everybody else behind him. So enough races to make those points back up, but time is running out for sure with just 6 races to go. Shout outs to those of you watching in the stream: Rima, Monster Jam X10, Mike G, JoJo, Jeremy Granger Jr., Wade, Jeremy. Welcome to the stream, everybody. There's 2 Jeremys, by the way. I didn't repeat myself on that. So here we go. Last time the trucks raced at Michigan, I believe 2020 was the last time the trucks raced at Michigan. I'll look it up on Racing Reference just to fact check that. That's probably something I should know already. Usually when I go to the the NASCAR races in Michigan, I only go to the Cup dates. It's a little harder for me to remember Xfinity and truck history with really anything, even though I've been watching every truck and Xfinity race the last several years with doing the live commentary streams. All right, I'm just getting onto Racing Reference right now. I'll fact check that for you. We've got time to kill anyway. They just gave the command to fire engines. We already went through the starting lineup for the race. Yeah, I was right, 2020. I had to double check because I wasn't 100% sure, but 2020. Zane Smith is the most recent winner for the Truck Series at Michigan. Then before that, Austin Hill, Brett Moffitt's got a couple wins, Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch on there. A lot of former truck champs to win at Michigan. Travis Quapple, Greg Biffle, Johnny Benson, Johnny Sauter, Moffitt, Zane Smith, and we'll see if we get another either former truck champ or soon-to-be truck champ get to victory lane yet again. Larson's recent bad luck isn't exclusive to NASCAR. No, IndyCar and dirt racing as well, apparently. Definitely been a rough couple weeks for Kyle Larson. Qualified top 5 today, though, so he looks quick for the beginning portion for what will be tomorrow's race. Which that wasn't a problem when he was at Charlotte either. Has to put a full race together, though. Definitely unloaded way quicker than they were at Nashville a week ago. So it's a step in the right direction for the 5 bunch. Yeah, I tried to look up a clip of that Larson incident from last night. I didn't know about it till this morning, obviously, and I didn't see anything that I could find on YouTube, at least. It was probably a typical sprint car crash, I would imagine. Those things flip over very easily. Good to see Larson, moving and obviously in a race car again today, so seems to be doing all right. The headline I read on ESPN was that he was injured in a sprint car crash, and then as I clicked on the article, it didn't state anything about an injury to him. And I'm like, well, that's probably false advertisement. And he didn't mention anything when they interviewed him earlier during qualifying, so I'm sure he's got some bumps and bruises, but that was ESPN and their false headline. Let's leave the NASCAR news to others who actually cover the sport year-round. It's my 2 cents, at least. Race was on Dirt Vision. Yeah, it was a World of Outlaws sanctioned race in Wisconsin. Well, the 38 truck driven by Zane Smith was the last truck to win at this racetrack. That truck today is being driven by a driver who's won twice already this season, Chandler Smith. Though Smith's wins coming on short tracks. The intermediate track speed for Front Row Motorsports seems to be from Lane Riggs with a couple of top 3s, 3 straight top 3s. In fact, these last through to victory lane. You can vote for who you think is going to win today's Truck Series race on our chat poll. That will be open until the end of stage 2, which would be lap 60. So at the end of stage 2, we'll close the poll off. Corey Heim leading the way right now, 38%. Only 17% taking Carson Hocevar. Lane Riggs at 7%. And then somebody other than those 3 is at 38% of the votes. I just realized I went through the starting lineup, or at least what I thought it was on screen, and that is not the actual starting lineup. I think the raw feed is showing practice times, because Tanner Gray was quickest in practice. So I'm going to have to go back through the starting order again, because this is not right on our screen. That's the first time that the raw feed has done that, where they don't have the correct order on screen. I was going to say, they interviewed Carson Hocevar. He said he qualified on the front row, but for some reason had him in row 3 on here. I don't even know if I could find it. Qualifying. There it is. Okay, yeah, well, we'll go through the starting lineup again, because apparently what I read off to you earlier was not correct. As I was seeing the trucks on the racetrack, they were in a different order, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's weird that the raw feed didn't have the. It's weird that the raw feed had the practice order up on screen of all things. Luke Fenhouse is on the front row still, second fastest in practice, but he does qualify on the pole for the race here today in a part-time effort for Thor Sport Racing. Carson Hocevar, the Kansas truck winner, will be on the outside of row number 1. Then row 2, we have Matt Kraft and Jake Garcia, also from Thor Sport Racing. They're showing some speed here at their home track this weekend. Jack Wood, Ty Majeski in row number 3. Corey Heim, Connor Mosak, row 4. Ben Rhodes, Tyler Ankrum, row 5. Daniel Hemrick, second in points coming in. Inside of row 6, Andres Perez to the outside. Raja Karut, the Nashville winner, inside of row 7 alongside Grant Henfinger. Dawson Sutton, Caden Honeycutt in row 8. Stuart Friesen, Lane Riggs starting mid-pack in row 9. Row 10, Lawless Allen, Gio Ruggiero, a couple more of those Tricon garage trucks. Josh Reum with Matt Mills in row number 11. Row 12 for Tanner Gray, Corey LaJoy. Again, first of 12 starts for LaJoy in the Truck Series this season. Frankie Muniz, Ross Chastain in row number 13. Ross starting deep in the field. He was top 3 in practice, though, so there is speed. Just missed on his qualifying lap. Tony Breidinger with Nathan Bird in row 14. Spencer Boyd, Norm Benning in row number 15. And then row 16 will be Chandler Smith and Morgan Beard. Smith starting deep in the field here today. And again, that 38 truck, the last to win at Michigan in the Truck Series 2020, Zane Smith. 2 mile oval, 18 degrees of banking in the turns. Front stretch at 12 degrees, back straightaway 5 degrees. Very long front stretch, 3,600 feet around this 2 mile oval. Just over 2,200 on the back stretch, so the speed's much quicker on the front straightaway because of the amount of straightaway you have versus turn 3 entry. Not sure how fast these trucks are going to be going in the draft necessarily because we didn't see them too packed together during practice. They did have a full 50-minute session because this is deemed a returning track or a new track to the Truck Series schedule because it has been 5 years since the last race for them here. Tim Fowler, thanks for tuning in. Dana Prescott, I love offers. Welcome to the stream as well. Yeah, definitely hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Helps these streams out a ton. We're at 26 right now. Refreshing things. Our goal is going to be to get to 50 today. It's kind of a low bar, but I think we can get there. You set the high bar and you don't achieve it, and it's kind of disappointing. So we'll go with 50 for today. We're already halfway there in our pre-race. Slightly later start for this truck race due to the practice again being a little longer, plus starting a bit later compared to most race weekends. Usually it's a 3-hour gap period between the start of Cup practice and an Xfinity or truck race, whatever follows it. Today it was 2.5 hours, so I kind of figured they weren't going to start closer to noon Eastern like they were scheduled to. And here we are at about 12:30, but we are live. And the field will be at full speed here shortly. They will be going green this time by. The race visually is on your local Fox affiliate. So not FS1 this week, but local Fox. Big Fox for this weekend's Craftsman truck race. I believe they have one more Big Fox race later this year, which would be the race at Lime Rock, I believe, as well. Time to get our Saturday fixing of racing in. Pace car onto pit road. Luke Fenhouse elects the outside lane for the start, spins his tires, then gets collected. Green flag is in the air and we're underway at Michigan. Jam session heading into turn 1 because of the Fenhouse 66 truck spinning his tires. He had Jake Garcia pushing him. 3 Thor Sport trucks in the outside rows. 4 wide already in the middle of the pack through turns 1 and 2 as they try to get the speed on the opening lap of the race. Still 4 wide down the back straightaway, deeper in the pack. Garcia looking to make a move on Fenhouse entering turn 3. Connor Mosak to the outside, 3 wide for the race lead. And as they exit turn 4, Garcia had to give way on the bottom. Hocevar in the top lane slides up right in front of Matt Crafton in the 88 for about 4th. And the opening lap is led by our pole setter, Fenhouse, who is still not clear with Mosak on the outside. Big run by Hocevar after he had a massive push in the bump trap from Matt Crafton. He launches by both trucks in front of him with a 3-wide move to the bottom, and Hocevar leads off turn 2. He is my pick for the race win today. I didn't mention in the pre-race, but Hocevar is my pick. He did win his last truck start at Kansas, and with the speed shown in qualifying and the speed shown by Spire in general, having won 2 of the last few races with Carson, and then last week, Raja Karuth winning at Nashville and ran top 3 that whole race. Give me Carson Hocevar for the win today. Corey Heim was lacking a bit. He was back half of the top 10 in practice overall. His teammate Tanner Gray, actually, again, who was fastest in practice. Wasn't anywhere to be found there. Our raw feed is still inaccurate, by the way. I don't know what's going on NASCAR.com. It's got the live delta for each driver, but the order that they're in is not the order in which they actually run. It's still the practice order. So I'm not sure where they're getting the intervals from exactly. Unscheduled pit stop for Raja Karuth in the 71 as his team came down to change right side tires. Might have had a flat. Wonder if contact was made in the opening couple laps of this race. He might have been right around where they were about 4 wide on the opening lap. So Karuth will be able to stay on the lead lap, but he's going to be well off of it by the time he gets back up to speed again. And there is the contact. He had it with Tanner Gray. Although that contact was as he was trying to get to pit road, I believe, and wasn't able to get there, potentially. He might have fallen off the lead lap. I'll have to check when the leaderboard gets back through the running order, since ours is not running correctly at the time. Draft is a huge importance here at Michigan. Connor Mosack was able to use it to full effect, get by Carson Hocevar through turns 1 and 2, only for Hocevar to pass him back through turns 3 and 4. Big lift for Connor Mosack off the exit of turn 4. Not somewhere you want to lift. Got very tight in the dirty air behind Hocevar after Hocevar slid up right in front of him. Big run coming, though, for the 81 after a push from the 18. It's amazing how quick he was able to get his momentum working back in the right direction again. The Rat Farmer, welcome to the stream. Redbeard, the Pirate. A lot of slingshots back and forth here between Mosack and Hocevar at the front of the field. Corey Heim, after starting a little bit further back, has already made his way up to third. Also utilizing the draft at full effect. Already seen 3 lead changes in the opening 7 laps of this one. About to have a 4th this time by if Hocevar leads at the line, because he just passed Mosack again into turns 1 and 2. Lap after lap, corner after corner, the 81 and the 7 have passed each other over the last several laps now. It's just amazing the amount of runs that these guys are able to get these trucks down the straightaways, both ends of the racetrack. Doesn't matter how long the back straightaway is compared to the front stretch or vice versa, and runs are coming from everywhere. The bump drafting from behind to try to get the speed back up after making a slide job or maybe falling out of line for a corner or so. Able to get it back up ridiculously quick, all things considered. Very easy to lose momentum, though, like Jake Garcia just did. Bottom of the racetrack, he was 3 wide on entry into turn 1. And by the time he hops back in the draft on the back straightaway, falls from 3rd to 8th. 5 positions lost in about 1 corner for Garcia. Corey Heim will attack for 2nd. He's got that spot through 3 and 4 over Mosack. And Hocevar, who leads this time by at the line, has Corey Heim closing very quickly. See if Corey will make the pass into turn 1. He will not. Didn't have a big enough of a run there, maybe being a bit patient. Get some clean air on the nose on the center of the corner. He ran about a half a lane to a full lane lower than Hocevar through the middle of turns 1 and 2. Ross Chastain's up quite a few positions, up to 9th place after starting outside the top 20. And he's only 2.5 seconds off the lead as well. So not only making the efficient passes, but keeping within close proximity of our leaders.
Stuff on the racetrack to get this run that he's got down the front straightaway. And after he gets that run, will he use it or not? Right now, he chooses not to. He's going to push Carson Hocevar into the corner on this lap.
I'm watching time and scoring, Regan, and consistently just are outside of the top 10. That tells you how important that air is. Those guys running 15th, 20th have all those trucks to draft off of, and it's helping. Usually we talk about how you lose speed when you get in dirty air. But here, because of so much throttle down and how wide the track is, you're taking advantage of using that draft to make yourself go fast.
We saw in your track analysis, Michael, how long the straightaways are, and it's way quicker to go in a straight line kind of truck than it would be otherwise.
Well, the record for lead changes at Michigan is 20. We've had 3 in the first 10 laps of this race. Corey Heim trying to become the 4th leader.
These two have put them together and driven away from Connor Mosak in that 81 truck. Fithouse is trying to join that battle. He and Tyler Ankrum have been tied together for the last 6-8 laps, doing a nice job as they race for that 4th position.
Really impressed with Luke Fenhouse, right? He starts on the pole. We saw him spin the tires just a little bit on the initial start of the race. Calm yourself down. You got pushed out to the lead. Okay, you lost the lead. But this is his first time at this racetrack at Michigan. So take your time. Learn how the truck's going to respond. Figure out what it's going to do. And then stay calm for a little bit so you can report back to your team exactly how it's driving.
Look at the 9th place on the scoring pylon. Ross Chastain is already into the top 10. What a great run early in this race for this 44 truck. And I got to tell you, Regan, I was a little concerned because he didn't really have any problems in qualifying. And yet 26 fastest was all he could put down. But now Ross Chastain is doing Ross Chastain things, Joss.
Yeah, you see Ross working his way through the field, and he felt really good about that start yesterday, despite not qualifying well this morning. And for him, this is a little bit of a get-back race. In 2019, he won the pole, had an issue on pit road that took him out of contention, but he felt like he was the best truck that day. Feels similar about the truck today. We'll see if he can get a little get-back and get that win that he felt he should have had in 2019. Right now, saying the truck started off a little tight. Similar problem he reported in practice yesterday.
Yeah, Chastain up 17 positions, and Josh brought that up in the interview about what happened in his last race. He was like, I didn't even want to watch a replay at all. That's out of my mind. I want to go out and win this race. He just has a few more spots to get up to the front as these two continue to battle up front. Carson Hocevar over Corey Heim.
There you see a great example of drafting and then flaring out. He went up top in the corner to get some fresh air on his nose, trying to keep that thing pinned to the ground. As you see Raja, he lost 1 lap in that pit stop earlier with the flat tire. So he's in good shape still. I said he can overcome this. I still believe he can. Right now, he's the only truck 1 lap off the pace. So he's kind of hoping for an early caution, because if there's not one, Regan, I think some of the back markers in the field will fall a lap down, which will take him out of the lucky dog position.
16 laps remaining here in stage number 1.
Corey Heim just kind of sitting patiently behind Carson Hocevar. I'm sure he's got a truck that is capable of trying to be able to make a pass, although to get a run on him, he's going to have to do it on his own. They pulled away from Connor Mosak in 3rd. The top 5 or 6 were drafting in a straight line with one another, especially when passes were being made back and forth for the lead in those opening 6-7 laps of the race. But since they have gone more single file and spread apart, this is where the passing opportunities become less and less, although they are still being made throughout the field. Obviously, the restarts are where the most time is going to be gained. And checking in on our leaderboard to see if anything is up to date again. So it looks like the raw feed leaderboard is not correct. This one isn't correct either. What is going on NASCAR.com right now? They're on a commercial break currently on Fox, mentioning to you guys where exactly everybody's running. And I'm not able to do that because I don't have that kind of data on screen. I might have to go to foxsports.com and try to pull feed from there. NASCAR leaderboard. That's for the Cup race. The race being on Fox, they should have something. If they don't have a live scoring on foxsports.com for a race that is on local Fox today. I don't see anything. NASCAR Truck Series, Michigan, live leaderboard. Obviously, NASCAR.com comes up, but try logging out of NASCAR.com and then logging back in again. That hasn't worked. Qualifying, race. Yeah, that's not the correct order. Corey Heim is leading, but second place right now. I should say the 7 is leading. And then where Corey Heim is in third, it shows him in second. So I don't know.
There with your competition if you're Corey Heim, or to try and get a little bit of a gap if you're Carson Hocevar. But Jamie, what we're seeing there is these guys maybe trying to get themselves separated from some of the other trucks just a little bit, push themselves out ahead of the pack a little bit. And to that part of the rocks, 20 laps in where maybe the handling characteristics are getting worse. You're finding out if your truck's loose, you're finding out if your truck's tight, Michael, and that could play a factor in how you race the rest of these things.
Kozak did a great job of taking advantage of that traffic. And look, he's closed in on those two leaders. But this is also another breaking news of the day. Raja Karuth is now not in the free pass position, so that's a fine for him. He needed an early caution to get back on the lead lap. How he handles this next pit stop will be interesting to see because he's got good pace, but now Raja will not get back on the lead lap when the caution flies here at the end of the stage, 4-4.
Let's get an update on Ty Majeski back in sixth, Caitlin.
Yeah, so far so good for him. I had a chance to talk with Ty, of course, our defending champion. I talked with him about the struggles so far this season. He said it's been a really challenging year, but he told me this is the highs and lows of racing. He said 6 weeks ago, getting the series, of course, as the champion, hoisting a trophy. Now he's just to win this. I mean, this team does come alive in the summer months. So he told me he anticipates the case this year. But he said if we had gone through a slump like this several years ago, I probably would have been down on myself. Questioning, he's very confident things will start moving in the right direction. And today, right now, occupying that fifth spot. Jamie?
Yeah, that's a great point. He's had 6 finishes outside the top 10, but this team, this was kind of a duplicate of what we saw last year. I mean, ThorSport, it is kind of their MO. They wait till the summer months, things heat up, and then they start winning. And it wasn't until race number 15 last year, Michael, that ThorSport went to victory lane.
Yeah, and you can see how the seasons have started. The last two, a whole lot to brag about, but yet he won the championship, so they can overcome a whole lot of obstacles. And and I like what I'm seeing today, Regan. We saw it in qualifying with all the speed for sport, and now that speed's translating to the race as well, as there's a couple of those trucks up in the top 5 in Luke Finhouse and Tom Majeski.
Yeah, and if you look at Ty Majeski, right, the beauty about him is a driver. That is a blue-collar driver right there. He is a workhorse. He knows every part and piece that's on that truck. He knows how to describe it to his team to help make that truck better, how to fix it if something's not exactly where they want it. And I think that's why we see his trend line. He kind of get better every year. It's much like last year, Jamie. By the time we got to Phoenix for the championship, this team was lights out when we got there, and he's a big part of that.
They were. Well, Chandler Speck, the drive that started on the last row, we had problems in qualifying up to 13th. What are you hearing, Josh?
Well, Jamie, you know, despite having 2 wins on the season for Chandler Smith, his big thing is consistency, especially during this last 6-race stretch. Of course, it's nice to win, but he's also got 4 finishes of 15 for wins. during that stretch, and he told me we need to even things out right now. He was really excited about coming to this racetrack. Of course, that's an issue in qualifying with the tire going down, but he's one of the biggest movers on the day so far. His only complaint with the truck is he needs more front turn.
I have a feeling in about 6 laps, we're going to be seeing a busy period with lots of adjustments for these trucks.
Yeah, the more experience you are taking, those adjustments will affect the truck. These drivers, such as Taylor Smith, who has a far experience, he knows what he's looking to feel. He's able to talk to his crew chief, his team, and they can make decisions based on his feedback. He has so much experience.
It's something else to keep in mind for a guy like Chandler Smith or even Ross Chastain, both of whom have come from the back towards the front right now. They've had to work their equipment harder than maybe some of the guys at the front that can run the lane just like they want to. They've had to ask for a little bit more out of those tires, and that can affect the handling balance. And sometimes you get further up in the field, the handling's going to change again. So they want to get as far forward as quick as they can so they can get a good read on what it's going to be later in the race.
Grant Enfinger was up there in the mix for a bit. He's in 15th now. Let's listen in on his radio, what he's seeing as well.
Jeff Stankwitz, the crew chief, he's reporting what his issues are too. I told you that's another experienced veteran. He's able to tell exactly what he needs. The spotter's saying that no one else is doing very good at dirty air either. We see these guys jigging and zagging when they get to the corner. If one guy goes low, goes low, the other guy goes high.
And that the challenge for Grant right there. Right? We see the 15 of Tanner Gray. He caught up to him on the straightaway, but when he caught up to him, Tanner Gray opted to go to the bottom, so he couldn't go anywhere to get clean air. And what that air is, it's a bubble that gets created behind those trucks that allows them to be able to get downforce on the front of the trucks. It's almost like 100-pound person sitting on the front of that truck to help them get grip.
This truck's impressive. You talk about how hard it is to pass. Caden Honeycutt talked earlier today about how this is a future cup winner in Ross Chastain's eyes, and what he's doing right now is making everybody believe and see that. We know how hard it is to pass, but yet he's able to consistently slice through this field. Really fast truck. Last time by, the fastest truck on the track. So watch this one continue to flunk through traffic.
Up 10 spots for Caden Honeycutt. Great looking truck for him as the laps are winding down here in stage number 1.
That 45 dig there as Corey Heim starts to look a little bit to see if there's anything up there. There's a move by the 45 of Honeycutt. He's got another spot, Regan. This is impressive.
And that was a textbook move. Catch the draft all the way down the straightaway. Clear him when you make the move to the bottom end of the corner. And then we see the 66 of Luke Fenhouse get a little bit tight behind him and lose the nose just a little bit. That's exactly what he wanted to do.
So Caden Honeycutt up to 5th now. Can Corey Heim get it done here?
And stay back a little bit, maybe, Regan, to try to get that run to see if he can win this stage.
Well, and this is the point where we see it. Maybe Fortman has been holding back just a little bit, sizing up Carson Hocevar to figure out exactly what he's got. We see him go to the top like he's been doing and wanting to. A little tight as he went up there. Maybe a little more separation than what he wants right here.
Final lap of stage number 1. Corey Heim has been the king of stage wins. Here he has not. There he goes. Takes a look to the inside. You're right, Michael.
What a move.
Laid back and made the pass. That's a playoff point right there, Regan. What a great move by Heim.
Very good move. You like the side draft that he used going into turn 3 to really slow down the 7 of Carson Hocevar.
Stage win of 2025, most all-time for 13 races, and it goes to that man, Corey Heim. He's just writing the history books, rewriting things, adding his name up to the books. Well done. He sized him up, takes the pass on the last lap to get stage win number 1 of the day.
10 stage win already this season for Corey Heim, and this is only the 13th race of the year. He's been dominant all season, and here he is leading again at Michigan in contention for a race win. So with winning stage number 1, our leaderboard, from what I've gathered, skips our race leader Carson Hocevar, and then where you see Corey Heim on our screen showing P3, he was 2nd. And then Mosak 3rd, and I think everything else the rest of the way through the order is accurate. I think. But because I can't confirm that, I don't want to go through the entire leaderboard. No, it can't be accurate because Lane Riggs and Ben Rhodes are not the last two positions, and there's only 32 cars in the trucks in the race. I don't know what's going on with NASCAR.com. I've tried logging out, logging back in a couple of times already. Fantasy. Yeah, because the usual raw feed's still showing practice. Top times of practice, and that's it. Very strange. I haven't had this issue before. We had one other issue with the raw feed being unavailable, and that was during the All-Star race for qualifying. All-Star qualifying for some reason wasn't showing up on our screen, but this is completely different. It's showing up on screen somewhat, but they're not all in the correct order. And yeah, I'm definitely not going to read it because I'm pretty sure Andres Perez was right in front of Chastain at the end of the stage. And it's showing him 14th. I'm pretty sure he was in the top 10. Does it even have Hocevar's name on here? Just skip him entirely. Yeah, see, he's got Hocevar at 31st, even though he's led the most laps. Currently second. I don't know. I'll keep that message pinned at the top of the chat so that way if we have any new viewers tuning in to wondering what's going on with the visuals on the channel today. Can't really explain to you why it's not working other than the fact that our usual database is not working. But appreciate you staying tuned in anyways. Anyway, 24 minutes in. This is our first caution of the race. Stage 1 break at lap 30. Stage 2 will be 30 laps in length as well. By the time we get this restart in, it's probably going to be about 25 or less laps left in the stage. Pit row will be open this time. We'll see our first live pit stops of the event. So again, Corey Heim, our stage winner. Looks like they didn't open pit road that time. I can get a wider image or a leaderboard scrolling right now on Fox. I'll read off who at least got stage points through stage 1. Showing Michael Waltrip getting a win at Michigan in the then Busch Series, now Xfinity Series. 2002. Regan Smith's also got an Xfinity win. 2013 at Michigan. For Junior Motorsports. Shane Richards, welcome to the stream. Forgot the races early today, missed the first stage. Well, you can get all caught up with the rest of it right here on the channel. Remote booth, by the way, today for Michael Waltrip, Regan Smith, and Jamie Little. We're on the call for the race. Local Fox affiliate, again, for visual purposes, is where you can watch today's Craftsman Truck Series event at Michigan. Our leaderboard's all sorts of jacked up, so what you see on screen, don't necessarily have to read anything there. I'm going to pause it. I'll go through the top 10. They did show who scored stage points in stage 1. Corey Heim was first. Carson Hocevar second. Last lap pass going into turn 3 for Corey Heim to win the stage. Connor Mosack third. Ty Majeski fourth. Caden Honeycutt fifth. Tyler Ankrum sixth. Luke Fenhouse seventh. Ross Chastain eighth. Ninth for Lane Riggs. And Andres Perez rounded out the top 10. So going to be a little bit behind now because I did just pause the broadcast for 20 to 30 seconds. But here were the pit stops that happened moments ago, and then I'll catch up during the next commercial.
Exactly. We'll have to see if he uses that later in the race.
Corey Heim over Carson Hosevar, Connor Mozak, and pit road is open. They're coming your way, Josh.
And let's start with the 44 of Ross Chastain. Started the race 26, got all the way up to 8th. By the end of that stage, came over the radio and said the truck just too tight for him right now. So they're going to make a few adjustments to free him up and get that thing to turn a little bit better.
Carson Hosevar on the your screen, second in the stage, third truck started. You were saying he was just free the whole time. He said I could use a little more security in the rear, asked for a small adjustment. And then, of course, Corey Heim at the top of your screen made that impressive stage win. Said really good the whole time, but maybe a little loose, requesting no changes. But they said they will pull a piece of tape off that 11. Maybe.
Thank you, Caitlin. Yes, a lot of adjustment to these race trucks. Regan, to your point, they know what they have. They know what they needed to be better here for this restart coming up.
Hosevar swinging wide off of pit road right in front of Mosak in the 81, and he had to cut underneath him on the way exiting pit road to keep from running into the back of the 7. So the race off of pit road, Corey Heim is the race leader. Carson Hosevar will line up second. Connor Mosak, Ty Majeski will be third and fourth. Go through the front couple of rows when they get to the post commercial break. And I can visually see everybody on one screen. Anyone from Kentucky over, Chatty? Maybe it's just them. Maybe it's an Owensboro, Kentucky thing. Jeremy Mayfield's from Kentucky. I don't remember him talking too much. Actually, I think he's from Owensboro as well. I think they're all from the same town. The only thing accurate right now on the raw feed would be the lap counter, the time elapsed from the start of the race to where we're at right now, which is just under a half hour. Cautions, lead changes, caution laps. That's it. Didn't realize I can click on the stage results here, so I guess we'll go through the full field leaderboard of how it was at least going into that last pit stop. So Corey Heim leading, Carson Hosevar second, Connor Mosak in third, Ty Majeski fourth, Caden Honeycutt fifth, Tyler Ankrum sixth, Luke Fenhouse seventh, Ross Chastain eighth, Lane Riggs ninth, Andres Perez 10th, Gio Ruggiero 11, Chandler Smith 12th after starting at the rear, 13th for Jake Garcia, Tanner Gray 14th, Grant Enfinger 15th, Wallace Allen 16th, Daniel Hemrick 17th, 18th for Matt Crafton, Stuart Friesen 19th, and Jack Wood 20th. And you got 21st, Dawson Sutton, Corey LaJoy 22nd, Matt Mills 23rd, Ben Rhodes 24th, Nathan Bird 25th, Frankie Muniz 26th, Morgan Beard 27th, Raja Kurd 28th, Josh Reum 29th, Tony Breidinger 30th, Spencer Boyd 31st, and Norm Benning 32nd. Doesn't show how many cars were a lap down. There were quite a few. Leaders were battling through lap traffic for the lead for a lot of those closing laps of stage 1 leading into Corey Heim, making that pass in 3 and 4 in the final lap, lap 30 of stage 1. So again, 4 lead changes so far in this race through the first stage. Bam Hall, welcome to the stream. Voted for Carson, but Heim is always competitive. Yes, he is. Yeah, my pick was Carson Hosevar for the win as well. Well, if there's one thing that is working on the stream, it's the chat poll. 50 votes have been casted so far. Tie at 30% between Hocevar and Heim. Somebody other than Heim, Riggs, or Hocevar at 36% leads the way. So only 4% taking Lane Riggs, although not really looking competitive here today. I'd say Chandler Smith seems to have a slightly better truck. He started deeper in the field, and he has worked himself up to 13th. Pretty good crowd on hand for this Truck Series race in Michigan today. Some of the sections are closed off on the front stretch, but it looks pretty full for what there is. Great to see here this weekend. And as the pace car is already on pit road, green flag is in the air. I forgot I was behind on the broadcast. Hang on, I got to catch up. We probably already had the restart. Yep, 1 lap into the restart. Corey Heim settled out with the race lead here. Sorry about that. I forgot I had to pause it for a second during the stage break. Hocevar out in front. Carson Hocevar in second. Third place for Ty Majeski, Connor Mosak fourth, and Gio Ruggiero rounds out the top 5. 22 laps to go in stage 2. Ross Chastain trying to make a move that last time by the front stretch on Tyler Ankrum. Big blocks being made by Ankrum to try to hold that spot. Late dive into the entry to 3. And a near late block by Chastain on Chandler Smith's 38 Ford. But Chandler Smith was able to make the pass successful anyway, moving him to 8th spot. Chastain's going to try to cross him over. He gets a big push in the draft from Daniel Hemrick. Went low, got blocked there, went high instead. And Chastain's going to get right back around Zane Smith for 8th. Kind of what we saw at the beginning of the race. Top 6 or 7 cars, single file, making passes in their respective lines, trying to keep close to the leaders. Once the leaders stop battling for the lead back and forth here, they might be able to start to pull away again. As of right now, Corey Heim and Carson Hocevar stay nose to tail with Hocevar in second. They put about a truck length or 2 maybe between second and third. Hocevar having to drive out of his mirror as well as his windshield. Making sure that the third place truck of Ty Majeski isn't going to make a run on him. We'll see if Majeski's got any speed. ThorSport was looking pretty fast in their full 50-minute practice session. Majeski's been quiet in the race so far, but now he's caught up with the stage break to these guys in front of him. Pass for the lead through 3 and 4. Carson Hocevar clear by a bunch off turn 4. Heim will reel him back in on the front stretch in the draft. And he's just going to stay patient, sit behind him, probably like he did back in stage 1. Was able to get around him on the final lap and may wait till the final couple corners to make a move here as well. Might want to make your move a little bit sooner at the end of the race versus the stage with more on the line at the end, but I mean, it worked for him once. We'll see if it'll work for him again. Ankrum, Smith, bump drafting each other a ton. Decent gap between the 6th and 7th place trucks on the track, but tightly bunched between the drivers from 7th on back as well as those top 6. Heim's been all over the 7 of Hocevar, but they haven't really pulled away a ton yet. Ty Majeski's still having a decent amount of draft down the straightaways and speed to this point in the run that he's keeping up with the 11 and the 7. As the tires start to fall off a little bit more in the course of the run and less on throttle time through the center of the corner becomes applicable for these faster trucks at the front of the pack, they'll start to space out a bit more as the stage wears on. Short first 2 stages, obviously, here at Michigan, so there is that. Raja Karuth, on his way to pit road for another unscheduled pit stop. He had one in stage 1 and now one in stage 2.
Can he stop just fast enough to get a splash of gas and stay on the lead lap? I don't think so, Regan. The leaders are already off turn 2.
Yeah, it seems like it'll be really tight to make that work, but what the play was there, let's see if we get a quick yellow on this restart. We can get a quick yellow. And all of a sudden it changed their races. They are going to opt to change tires on this stop, Michael. I don't hate that move, right? You got to try something to get that lap back at some point.
And what he'll do is just stay out at the end of this caution, at the end of this stage, if nothing happens between now and then be ready to run into that third stage. We've already documented that you're going to have to stop then and get gas.
All right, so that's a quick update on Raja Karuth. Had a flat tire earlier in the race, which caused him to come to pit road in the opening couple laps, dropped him off the lead lap, and now he is a lap down again after taking the wave around, trying to catch a quick caution, didn't. Back on pit road during green, changes tires, tops off on fuel, and we'll see what the strategy play will be for Karuth for stage number 2. He has to get to 29th place, I do believe. 28th, rather. 28th is currently the first truck a lap down. That's Josh Reum. More trucks could end up going a lap down before the end of stage 2 as well, as the leaders get into lap traffic again. So we'll have to wait and see if 28th is what he'll be racing for in another 15 laps or not. Connor Mosack still hanging around in the top 5. Gio Ruggiero tried to make a pass for position for 4th on him, failed to do so. And because Gio had lost his momentum hopping out of line for as long as he did, Caden Honeycutt with a huge slide job into 3 and 4 takes that spot back. But in the middle of that said corner, Ruggiero crosses him over. Gio couldn't clear the 45 back to the outside by the exit of turn 4. He was side by side with him. Honeycutt able to get a quick side draft, pull past in the draft had by the 81 truck still in front of him on that higher lane, middle of the front stretch. And Honeycutt will hold on for 5th. Carson Hocevar currently has the fastest lap of the race. And he is leading the race for the, I was going to say the second ever time, but he transferred the lead back and forth a few times with Connor Mosack in the early laps. So he's probably led 3 or 4 different times now. I don't think it's going to show how many laps he's led in this race on our leaderboard that is not operating. No, it does actually. That's one thing that's also operating correctly. 27 laps led for Carson Hocevar today, most of any driver. Corey Heim, who, although won stage 1, that was the only green flag lap that he's actually led today. 6 of them have been led total, but 5 under caution. We're down to 12 laps to go in stage 2 this time by. Top 4 trucks still within a second of each other, and Ty Majeski in that 98's doing a great job staying with the 11 and the 7 at the front of the field. The top 3 are very tight together, and Connor Mosack kind of pulling away from the trucks behind him, but he's not really able to reel in on the 3 trucks in front of him unless they really get to racing. But it seems like they're just being patient right now. They're trying to get out ahead, settle it amongst themselves. Catching some clean air in the center of the corner to try to keep their speed up as well. Hocevar in the middle, Heim around the L line on the bottom of the track, and Ty Majeski the wider line of the 3. Merging back into the draft on the straightaways, and then they'll fan out again into 3 and 4. It's Ty Majeski to the bottom of the track, Corey Heim wide, near the top. And Majeski almost hangs with the inside of that 11 truck. Exit of turn 4, he was nearly on that left rear corner panel. If he can do that enough and try to side draft the 11, then maybe he can pull off and make a pass into the next corner. It's going to be tough with no drafting help on the bottom down the straightaways to side draft enough to keep that 11 back. Not to mention the single car line of trucks that are less than a second behind him of Mosack, Giro, and Chastain. They may be able to get a run and really start to take over even more positions from Majeski if he can't actually make the pass on Corey Heim. It's a risky attempt. Track position is king in racing, especially nowadays. Any type of racing for that matter, but track like Michigan, you don't want to be out of that draft for too long. I think momentum is king today. Track position is king. Momentum is a very close second. Full screen commercial break on Fox. Live commentary coverage will begin, or continue, I should say, shortly. We'll have our diecast showing at the end of stage 2, and don't forget we will close the chat poll at the end of stage 2, so if you haven't voted for who you think is going to win today's race, you can do that. We'll take a quick break. You're listening live to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Michigan on KRC, lap 52 of 125. For anybody just tuning in, I do have a post at the top of the chat, but again, the leaderboard is not accurate. Sergeant Bob, thanks for tuning in. I know you want me to scan through the leaderboard. Trust me, I tried to do that during all the cautions and all the commercial breaks throughout the course of every race, but I can't do that. I mean, I can, but it's not even accurate. Our drivers in positions they're not actually running. The interval between them is not correct. Our race leader, Carson Hocevar, scored in 31st. Hyman second is in third, but Majeski is also apparently in third. Behind by 24 laps, 12 laps. Yeah, it's not accurate today. Well, hang on. The raw feed seems to be working now. So the raw feed was showing the practice times throughout the first almost half of this race now. But all of a sudden, it looks like the raw feed is back up and running. So now I can go through the leaderboard. Psych. Let me unpin the comment in the chat real quick. All right. Leaderboard's working. Cam, thanks for tuning in also. Corey High made a pass for the lead during the commercial break on Carson Hocevar. Hocevar had a bit of debris on the grill of his race car leading that line, so to keep from overheating, had to drop out of the lead and in the draft behind the 11. That slight split up has allowed for Majeski to fall off of these top two just a bit. He's a half a second off the lead, but you can definitely tell that the gap between him and the back of the 7, who is now in second place, and the 11 of Corey Haim may be the faster truck overall. So him leading this line could also help these two get away. It could also make the pass a lot harder for Carson Hocevar to make versus for Corey Haim, who has now passed Hocevar outright twice when nobody has passed the 11. Except for a restart, which is how the 7 got back out in front of the 11. But a lot more trucks to also help draft off of or get a push from behind to make that pass, creating more of a run than what Hocevar is able to do by himself at the moment. 4 laps to go in stage 2 this time by. Currently in the top 10, we have Corey Haim in the lead, Carson Hocevar second, Ty Majeski third, Caden Honeycutt in fourth, fifth for Connor Mosack, Ross Chastain 6th, Gio Ruggiero 7th, Tanner Gray 8th, Chandler Smith 9th, Luke Fenhouse rounds out the top 10. If Carson Hocevar is able to make a pass on Corey Haim in the last lap or two of this stage and hold on, then these two are more evenly matched than I think. But until I see that happen, I do think the 11 outright has the faster of the two trucks. Ross Chastain, who moved very quickly from the 26th starting spot, 26th starting spot, was able to get to 8th at the end of stage 1. He's only picked up 2 more positions, though, in stage 2. He's currently 6th. Hocevar trying to run a slightly wider line than the race leader. See if that can pick him up just a little bit more speed down the back straightaway. He's gaining a bit. The gap is about 2 to 3 truck lengths entering turn 3. Now Hocevar dives to the bottom of the track on the white line. He gets clean air. Himes basically ran the middle groove through 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 that last lap. 2 laps to go, stage 2, 2-mile oval at Michigan. Hocevar with a bigger run on the front stretch carries that momentum to the bottom of the track through 1 and 2, and he's underneath our leader. Left side tires glued to that yellow line through the center of the corner, but by the time they get to exit, he's just narrowly going to have to back up to the back bumper of Haim again and try to create another run, likely to be down the front stretch this time by yet again. Slow truck of Stuart Friesen down on the apron trying to limp back to pit road. We stay green for right now, as he just lost his lap. It looked like it was Friesen in the 52. Broadcast didn't pick it up, though, so I'm not entirely sure. Hocevar tried to go to the outside, but there wasn't enough room to get there. Haim beat him to that outer lane, and the late move to get down to the bottom was too late. Now Corey Heim goes to the bottom of the track, middle of the back straightaway, trying to break a draft and not allow for Hocevar to get another run at him. Into turns 3 and 4, the gap is 3 truck lengths again. Heim on the bottom, Carson Hocevar through the middle. And he's not going to be able to make the ground back up on the front stretch. Corey Heim will sweep the stages here today at Michigan, winning stages 1 and 2. Carson Hocevar second in both stages. Ty Majeski third in stage 2. Then Caden Honeycutt in 4th. Connor Mosack 5th. Ross Chastain 6th. Gio Ruggiero in 7th. Tanner Gray 8th. Chandler Smith 9th. And Luke Fenhouse rounds out the top 10. So that is the top 10 in the running order. Yeah, Chandler Smith is probably pretty quick too. I don't think Chastain or Smith are any quicker than, say, a Ty Majeski, who showed quite a bit of pace in stage 2 with better track position. But ultimately, as the run wore on, and we had a long green flag run in stage 2 like we did in stage 1, it was clearly the 11 and the 7. And I think the 11 is a bit better than the 7. Not by much. Hocevar could get runs on him. Just couldn't complete the pass like Corey Heim was able to do. On 2 occasions now, although one of those might have been because Hocevar had debris on the grill, but even back in stage 1, final lap 3 and 4, Heim timed the run out perfect, and he was able to actually complete the pass on Hocevar to Corey. And these two ultimately are actually getting pretty close to each other for the most laps led. 23 for Heim, 36 still for Hocevar, 1 for Connor Mosack. I thought he led more than that with the amount of battling he and Hocevar had in those opening laps. 1 lap led for Luke Fenhouse, who was the opening lap led after he qualified on the pole. So those are the only 4 drivers to lead in the first now 62 laps of this race. Stage 2 ended at lap 60. We're about 50 minutes in. Both stage yellows are our only 2 cautions. We've had 6 lead changes. And we have about half the race to go. We're officially at the cross flags mark. Lap 63 will mark halfway this time by. Pit road will be open shortly. We'll take another break in the meantime. Again, you're listening live on KRC to the Craftsman Truck Series at Michigan. Just closed out the chat poll since we reached the end of stage 2. 62 votes were casted for who you thought was going to win today's race. Carson Hocevar at 37% wins the chat poll. He was tied for second in our poll with Corey Heim at 30% the last I checked. But Hocevar takes it. And Other, who was at about 36%, dropped to 30%. Heim drops to 27% of the votes, despite winning the first 2 stages. And 4% for Lane Riggs, who has been a non-factor pretty much this entire race today. He's been outside the top 10 the entire race. No stage points today for Lane, 11th in stage 2. For Mr. Riggs. Glad you guys are enjoying the race. Now our leaderboard's back up and running, and our usual live commentary coverage continues here at Michigan.
Racing on Fox is sponsored by Progressive. Progressive protects your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, and RV, and could save you money. Well, let's take a look now at our Progressive race summary. Corey Heim, the leader. We've had 4 different leaders. He's led 24, but it's Carson Hocevar who's led the most.
And I think that lead changes at 6 right
Why
now.
is Fox
Very
using the
easily could be
CW's
around
audio?
15 or 20 right now. Had those guys been
The
taking
heck?
every run that they could, but certainly a race in which guys are sizing each other up as they're planning this thing out, and been a lot of fun so far.
Another part of our progressive race summary is on that caution, Raja Kabruth, our last winner in the truck series. He got his lap back. He will be the free pass and wave his way around and make his way onto the lead lap. And he's had a fast truck. I've been watching his lap time, Regan. He's got something to contend. But I talked earlier, we need to make those mistakes, have problems early, and get them behind us. It's taken him all the way to the end of the second stage to get back in position to go race these guys. We'll see what he's got. There's that beautiful KendrickCars.com truck.
Guys, the wait over the last 5 years was worth it. The truckers have been away since 2020. So glad that they're back at this historic track. I mean, not just the biggest names in NASCAR have won here. It's the biggest names in open wheel racing as well. This place has just been around and it never fails.
Big pit stop here. We can't have a mistake. Got to make sure we execute on pit road.
So we talked a lot about Heim and Hosevar and them passing each other, working together to get debris off the nose. They have a little bit of a history, Mike. You rode for this one back in 2023.
Yeah, that one really got on my nerves. Just drove in there and made a mistake. You know, I guess it was the Saints. He just wiped out Florian Honda going for a championship. And Florian said, well, if I'm not winning it, you ain't winning it. And these guys have had sort of bad blood ever since this night in Phoenix, and I don't blame them. Just, you got to roll up your sleeves every now and then. And Corey rolled his up and said, I'm taking you out now.
Well, I guarantee that they're both remembering that right now today. They want to beat each other today.
Absolutely. A lot on the line. They're coming your way, Josh.
We'll start with the 45. Caden Honeycutt fired off tight during the first stage, made some adjustments, and he said the truck was actually tighter firing off during that last run. Team said we're going to make some air pressure adjustments to help him out. Felt he needs just a little bit more to be able to run with that top three trio.
Well, looking at Carson Hosevar's your screen, he was at water temp 220. Optimal temperature is 180 to 210. So he felt a little down on power since he overheated. Also said he needs more front turn. The rear is fine. His crew chief assured him that engine is okay. Now looking at Corey at the top of your screen, saying just a tick free, lacking maneuverability overall. Wants to be secured up a bit. Make an air pressure adjustment for the 11. JB?
K11 crew got it done last time. They get it done this time. Corey Heim out front. Could rest follow suit, Michael.
It's like Kate Honeycutt maybe popped up a spot. Yeah, he did. That's been a fast truck. Have my eye on him. We'll see what he can do now that he's going to be in that second row. Maybe even on the front row if he chooses to be.
All the adjustments are in the books. We'll probably have at least one more stop. We have to. As you see the pit crew, look at this.
Yes.
Celebrate every time. Got it done. Heim time.
All right. We'll see if it's going to be Heim time for the 5th time this season. He's already won a third of the races. Definitely could have had more. This is another one where he could potentially have another win under his notch. We'll see if he'll get it or not. He's already swept the stages, which he's done several times this year. 11 stage wins on the season now for Corey after winning his 10th and 11th stages today. 27 laps led in the race, just won the race off pit road. Carson Hosevar did get by him on the last restart to get to the lead, despite the fact that Heim has been able to pass him through stage 1 and stage 2 for the race lead under green flag conditions. 6 lead changes again so far. Almost an hour into the race. 65 out of 125 laps have been complete. 60 laps to go this time by. And they are not good on fuel to the end of this race either. So if we stay green for stage 3, they will have to make a pit stop before the finish. Up qualifying today, it was in the morning. Chase Briscoe's on the pole. Yeah, we had our stream this morning. We began things at 9:30 a.m. for practice and qualifying. Frederico Sanchez, Mad Steve, thanks for tuning in. The Xfinity Series, I mean, they have been racing at Michigan as long as I can remember. This is the first year they haven't in a very long time. I'm going to look to see when the last time the Xfinity Series had a year where they didn't race at Michigan. Because this is the first time in 5 years that the Truck Series has raced here. I remember 2020, earlier in the stream, was their last race. But in my lifetime, I'm pretty sure that the Xfinity Series has always ran at Michigan. It's usually just one race, though. They usually don't run here more than once. The Cup Series, for a long while, ran here twice a year. Let's see, Xfinity... I guess 2020 they didn't run. I didn't realize that. So 2020 was the last time the Xfinity Series didn't race at Michigan. I'm not sure if it was on the schedule and then they took it off because of the COVID season and then ran a double at like Charlotte or something. So I'm not sure on that. But I guess 2020 was the last time that they haven't ran at Michigan. But other than that, I'm looking back through, and it looks like their first race here was in 1992. And they have ran one race every year at Michigan up until 2019. And then again, 2020 they didn't. But then they did the last 4 years, 21 through 24. So no Xfinity this weekend. Is definitely odd at Michigan by way of how their schedule is for this season. Not to mention another off week for them. This is the third off week in the last 5 weeks combined for the Xfinity Series schedule. We've only had 2 races since Texas on the first weekend in May. Truck Series is going to have a long extended period of time off when we get into the mid to late summer months. It's only 25 races on their schedule, and this is already the 13th. Halfway through the Truck Series season. And again, only 5 regular season races left after today.
Atlanta, when we renamed Atlanta Motor Speedway with fireworks and all to the Echo Park Speedway. Echo Park has the best trade-in value in America, and we traded that thing in. There you see Marcus and David Smith, Governor Kent, First Lady Marty. Just a great day. Christopher Bell showed up, Ross Chastain, Kyle Petty. Look at all the dignitaries, and then they're out there. What that's that all about?
I love that they got Ross holding something other than a watermelon for once a peach.
It was
must have killed him to do that.
It was funny because they were trying to get him to bust a watermelon. And he said, I like to try to save that for my wins, so we just hold some peaches. What a great day it was at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, though.
Well, it looks great, and now we have to train ourselves to call it.
Okay, it was the Atlanta Motor. Was the Atlanta Motors. We were at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Now it's the Echo Park Speedway.
The chews haven't just taken place. Interesting here. Take a look at how things got shuffled up just a little bit. Corey Heim and Carson Hosevar choose the outside, but Caden Honeycutt now going to get all the way up to the front row. We've seen him making a lot of passes today.
Keep your eye on the 45. Let's get an update on Raja Caruth. Caitlin, what are you hearing?
Yeah, well, Jamie, remember he had that tire issue earlier in the race, set them back, but he just made a pit stop saying he was aero tight on exit. Nothing too bad, but he wanted to be freed up, so the team made an air pressure adjustment. He's back on the lead lap, but this has definitely been a race of attrition so far for Rajah Caruth. Jamie.
Yeah, they mixed up their strategy from early on when they had that tire issue.
Yeah, and the goal for Raja now, right? It may be difficult to get back to all the way back to the front, but you want to minimize damage for the day. You had the problem early on. Don't try to get too much all at once.
See the stage points for today. Corey Heim, he's gotten all of them. He's maximized it per usual. Ty Majeski with a nice job. That truck coming to life. I think he's going to be one to give Corey Heim a run for his money. And then Caden Honeycutt.
On the front row, baby.
All right, here we go. Front row looks like for Honeycutt. Hosevar actually took outside of row 2 behind Heim. He was in second place. Green flag is in the air, and we are underway for stage 3. 57 laps to go. Big time push into the first turn by both of these front row trucks from the 2 trucks behind them. Caden Honeycutt trying to hold with Corey as much as he can. Wants to be able to side draft Corey Heim, but he can't with the 7 car tightly on the back bumper of the 11. Big block by Honeycutt right in front of Majeski, and Hosevar's going for the lead now into turn 3. Just as he did the last 2 restarts, he was able to get by Corey Heim, and he does right here as well. Hosevar out in front off turn 4, 56 laps to go. Another big block by Honeycutt as he tries to hold the 98 of Majeski behind him. Stalling the momentum out of both trucks. Majeski had to lift quite a bit, so he wasn't able to really push the 45 like the 11 was pushing the 7 down through the tri-oval. Connor Mosack up into that outer groove, gets passed by Daniel Hemrick. He's got Chandler Smith underneath him. Mosack loses several positions on the restart. Ross Chastain's broken through into the top 5 for the first time today. He is currently in 5th. Hocevar still has the Xfinity fastest lap of the race. And that fastest lap time is a 39.082 back on lap number 19. Honeycutt and Majeski are slowly starting to get closer to the back of the 11 and the 7. Heim was all underneath that back bumper of Carson Hocevar, giving him a push down the front stretch, and he has to try to keep these two trucks out in front of the two trucks chasing him, because that's exactly what Majeski's doing to the back of Caden Honeycutt, just giving him massive amounts of bump drafting and pushing to keep him up with these front couple of trucks down the straightaways. Trouble! 91, Jack Wood is around and against the wall. Looks like in turns 1 and 2. I believe it's turns 1 and 2.
Drive around and get her tuned back up. You see a lot of damage to that left rear.
Nope, 3 and 4.
21st at the moment of that impact.
Turns 3 and 4. Jack Wood goes for a spin.
She scratched up, Michael, but doesn't look too bad to your point.
Kind of tracking okay. Maybe some flat tires and some skimped up sheet metal on that left side. See if we can catch what happened there. Whoa, that's classic, just loose, right, Regan?
Yeah, just got up into some what looked to be some air that he wasn't comfortable with, and you could see the front of the truck hop a little bit as he got up there, and almost like once that happened, he just broke all traction, and it just came around. Unfortunately, and Jack running in the 21st place and was trying to get his way back further forward in the pack.
You can see that's the contact to the left rear. Hopefully they can bash her out, finish her up at least. Let's hop on board with our buddy Frankie Muniz in the Muniz and Morgan truck. Man, that's a good feeling, isn't it, Regan, when you see a guy starting to slip and like you're heading in the right direction. You know the low line is what you need.
And just a classic Michigan spin right there, right? You get caught in a bad area if you're Jack Wood in terms of the errors I just mentioned a moment ago, and you feel so helpless as a driver because you know that it's coming around and there's just not a lot you can do about it.
Tough fight for Jack Wood and a great qualifying effort this morning. And there is the reason we're under caution at Michigan.
First caution for incident today, making our third caution total with the two stage ends that we had at lap 30 and lap 60. I was going back through because this has been such a clean and green race, and I don't really remember that for the trucks at Michigan. The last two races that we had, 2019 and 2020, 8 and 11 cautions between those races. So quite a few yellows, maybe to come here in stage 3. Although the way that this race is paced out so far, I don't know that we're going to get to that 8 number. That means we'd have to have 6 cautions in the final stage with minimal green flag laps, considering that the final stage, by the time we actually went green following the stage 2 break, was only 57 laps. Carson Hocevar leads at the time of the yellow. This will be the first restart that Corey Heim will not be in the lead for. So it'll be interesting to see how he does with a little bit of traffic around him now, especially if he does not take the inside of row 1. Because Carson Hocevar got the lead on the restart from the outside of row 2 behind Heim. Pushed him to the lead off turn 2. Once he pulled clear of the truck underneath, he slungshot his way into the lead into 3 and 4. And then a couple laps later, the caution came out while Corey was still out, Corey was still pushing the back of the 7, trying to keep him out in front of the 45 and the 98 behind him. A full field running order right now at lap 73. Carson Hocevar is the race leader. Corey Heim is scored in second. Caden Honeycutt third. Ty Majeski in fourth. Ross Chastain 5th, 6th for Daniel Hemrick, Connor Mosack in 7th, Tanner Gray 8th, Chandler Smith 9th, and Andres Perez is 10th. 11th for Corey LaJoy, Lane Riggs 12th, Gio Ruggiero 13th, Tyler Ankrum 14th, Grant Enfinger 15th, Luke Fenhausen 16th, Matt Crafton 17th, Jake Garcia 18th, Wallace Allen 19th, and Matt Mills 20th. Frankie Muniz 21st, Ben Rhodes 22nd, Raja Crew 23rd, Morgan Beard 24th, Jack Wood 25th, Dawson Sutton 26th, Stuart Friesen 27th, and Nathan Bird last truck in the lead lap at 28th. Tony Breidinger will get the free pass with this caution at 29th to get back on the lead lap. Then Spencer Boyd 30th, Josh Riem 31st, and Norm Benning 32nd. Benning pulled off the track 70 laps ago out of the race, and then Josh Riem is 11 laps down right now. I wonder if he pulled off during stage 2. If so, we have 2 drivers out, 30 in, And when we get to the next restart again, 29 will be on the lead lap. Bond 1771, thanks for tuning in. Truck Series is going to be off next weekend with the Cup and Xfinity Series races taking place in Mexico City. It'll be the first NASCAR Cup race in Mexico, and it will be the return for the Xfinity Series side on the road course down there. And I think it's going to be packed. It's going to be a fun sight to see for next week. A unique experience. I'll have to wait to submit my pick for who I think is going to win. I think I'm taking SVG. I think he's my early pick. I don't have my race win pick yet for tomorrow. I'll have to go back through and look at that. I'll let you guys know in the community tab tomorrow, though, who I have picked for the win. I got to keep my top 3 streak alive. The last 7 race predictions, the guy I picked to win the race has finished top 3. So see if we can keep that alive. We'll take a quick break and we'll continue our live commentary here at Michigan shortly. I didn't get the diecast showing out during stage 2, so I'll do that right now while we're under caution again for the Jackwood spin in turns 3 and 4. This week's diecast showing is one of my personal favorites, not for the scheme itself. Cardell Cabinetry, actually the same paint scheme Ryan Blaney had when he won at Nashville last week, but this is from 2021, and this is a race win diecast from Michigan. It's the only race I got to see my favorite driver ever win in person, whether that be Ryan Blaney or the few times I got to see Greg Biffle race in person towards the end of his NASCAR Cup Series career full-time. Biffle won, 4 times at Michigan, I believe? And unfortunately, I didn't start going to races until 2015, so for that, I was not able to ever see him win in person. And as far as Ryan Blaney goes, I didn't get to see him win in person until 2021. I don't know how many races it was. I think it was like 25 or 26 races before I finally saw my favorite driver win. I haven't seen him win in person since, and I've been to almost 40 races now. So hopefully he can break through to victory lane tomorrow. But if not, at least I was able to see it once. And the fact that it was at my home track, of all places, pretty cool. He had a second the week before that at Indianapolis when I was there on the road course race. I was like, man, I don't think he's ever going to win. When I see him in person, go figure. I was lucky to be at the next race after that because it was at my home track in Michigan. And, well, he got the race win. And we'll see if he goes back-to-back tomorrow at Nashville Super Speedway. It's really cool with the race win diecast because I don't really have many of them, but you can see the rubber on the hood. And I don't know if my camera can do it justice or not, but the rubber buildup on the hood. You kind of see it on the rims of the tires, too. Great detail with these diecasts from Lionel.
From Dodge, and there's supposed to be a big announcement coming tomorrow.
How about that? You know what I'd like to announce? Dennis McFarland is going truck racing. He's going to zig and zag and fly like a bald eagle.
What do you think, Regan?
Certainly anything we can do to have more manufacturers in the sport would be great, and we'll have to see what they're getting at with their trick that they were showing there.
We're looking forward to hearing that tomorrow as we get set here. 49 laps to go in this race, Carson.
All right, green flag back in the air. Stage number 3 continues on. Carson Hocevar, Corey Heim on the outside lane. Inside lane are the Nice Motorsport trucks of Caden Honeycutt and Ross Chastain. Hocevar and Honeycutt side by side for the race lead as they exit turn 1. Heim trying to close the gap to the back of the 7. And we've got another crash in the back, and this time it's Raja Karut in the 71 who's backed it into the wall very hard. quite a bit of damage to the rear of his race truck. I would assume somebody else might have been collected, but until we get a camera angle showing another truck with damage or a replay, we'll have to see. Considering they were getting up to speed on the restart through 1 and 2, I'd assume he probably got some contact. It looked to be in the center of the corner where he had contact with the wall. So from a win a week ago for Raja Karut to a tough day, maybe the toughest of the season for him. Had that unscheduled pit stop because of a flat tire earlier, and actually it looked like he was 3 wide middle, and the 42 of Matt Mills kind of ran down. I have to see another replay of that. It was kind of hard to tell for sure. It looked like he was trying to get into the middle of Craftsman and Mills. There wasn't a lot of room, and the 42 was kind of coming down as Caruth was driving into that lane, and to those two trucks underneath. It was actually Frankie Muniz who was on the inside of both race trucks and not Matt Crafton. But Caruth goes around with the contact, which I kind of figured there was contact because they were getting up to speed. Yeah, they're showing the replay. It definitely looks like it was mostly on Mills. Caruth was there for a bit. They were much deeper in turn 1 than I thought from the initial replay from Frankie Muniz's onboard, but 42 moved down 3 wide, didn't give a lot of room, and 71's wrecked. 42 will live to fight another lap. Luckily for Caruth, he's locked into the Truck Series playoffs, which is good because he would have been right around the bubble coming into the race today. So this crash and no stage points to show for with the flat tire early in the race in the opening laps, and then trying to get the wave around only to have to pit under green because there was no cautions in stage 2. Getting a little bit better up until this incident. Safety crews are picking up some debris from the outside of the racetrack. Got to be close to the edge of the fuel window now. We've only ran a few green flag laps in this stage. About a quarter of a lap before the caution there. Maybe a third. It just got to the exit of turn 2 for the leaders. Honeycutt was actually scored in second over Corey Heim at the time of the caution. So Heim cycles back to third with the yellow. While Hocevar still leads. One hour, 15 minutes into the race. 4 cautions now, 2 for incident, both in the early going of stage 3. 8 lead changes so far. 20 laps and counting under yellow. I believe pit road is open this time, but I don't think there's going to be many takers. Unless pit road's not open. Caruth on his way back to the garage area with the window net down, so it looks like his night has come to an end. Day, I should say. It's not really nighttime. Yeah, I don't think pit road was open that last time by. Have to wait another lap. Probably going to be the final pit stop of the race today. Not sure how many more sets of tires these teams have, or what they were given from the pre-race to where we are now. Obviously, 2 sets have already gone on the trucks. Blaze Sanders, welcome to the stream. Irina Sayre, thanks for tuning in. No Xfinity race today. They are off this week. And this is the last stream of the weekend. Again, I will be at Michigan for the Cup race tomorrow, so there will be a race highlight video uploaded to the channel grandstand's view from where my seat is. Now pit road's going to be open with 45 laps to go this time by. Second place? No. He faked it. I thought he was going to pit from second. Honeycutt stays out. That would have been a bold decision. Daniel Hemrick from seventh. First truck to pit road. Quite a few behind will follow.
Well, it's been an up and down day for the 38 of Chandler Smith. Battled his way into the top 10. Elected to come in now and get that fuel with their window opening up. We'll see if it helps him out the rest of the way.
Trucks doing just that, fuel only, and what that'll do, Regan, is speed up that final pit stop. You know that's the case. Maybe if there's a lot of cautions, they can try to take a run at stretching it to the end.
Frankie Muniz having a decent day. Lane Riggs down and away.
All right. A little bit of strategy here. Some drivers staying out thinking that's not going to be the caution. They're going to save that set of tires in hopes that we get another yellow before the end so they can pit under caution. They can put their last set of tires on and go to the finish. A lot of the drivers who just came down onto pit road top off for fuel only as we are at the edge of the pit window, but not taking tires so that way they can still save a set before the finish. Also in case of another yellow, so they're not really going to be working their way forward through the pack much. But if it goes green to the end of the race, there's going to be drivers that are going to try to stretch it for these last just over 40 laps under green at Michigan, which is a 2-mile oval and a fast one at that. You could save some gas in the draft, but they were pretty split. About half came in, half stayed out. Top 6 all stayed out. I mentioned Hemrick from 7th pitted, but there were quite a few that also hit pit road behind him. Not everybody that was behind him pit. Hemrick is 13th right now, so the top 12 stayed out of the pit, so more than I thought came to pit road. So 13th on back, just topped off on fuel. Top 12, less fuel in their trucks. They definitely can't make it to the end, unless we get a ton of yellows, which we've had a couple back-to-back here in Stage 3. And we had 11 cautions in the last truck race at Michigan. We're only at 4 right now, so that could happen. Carson Hocevar is our race leader. Caden Honeycutt is 2nd. 3rd place for Corey Heim. Ross Chastain 4th. Ty Majeski is 5th. Then Tanner Gray in 6th. Andres Perez 7th. Connor Mosack 8th. Tyler Rankrum 9th. Corey LaJoy 10th. Lawless Allen is 12th. Dawson Sutton Lawless Allen 11th. Then Dawson Sutton is 12th. Daniel Hemrick 13th. 14th for Chandler Smith. Grant Enfinger 15th. Gio Ruggiero in 16th, Matt Craft in 17th, Jake Garcia 18th, Luke Fenhouse 19th, and Ben Rhodes 20th. Matt Mills 21st, Jack Wood 22nd, Morgan Beard 23rd, Lane Riggs 24th, Frankie Muniz 25th, Tony Breidinger 26th, Spencer Boyd 27th, Stuart Friesen 28th, Nathan Bird 29th, and then Raja Karut, Josh Reum, Norm Benning 30, 31st, 32nd, all out of the race. 29 trucks that are in the race are in the lead. I'm not sure if everybody else behind him also has fresh Goodyears or not. That's the last set of tires that they have. So if it stays green to the end, they might be able to rock it to the very front of the pack. We'll see how it works for them. Again, 24th is where Lane Riggs will restart.
See if we can get some momentum rolling here as the flag is back in the air. Watch these pushes. Lanes. All the way down into turn 1. Tyler Ankrum fans out, makes it 3 wide.
That did not work for Ankrum.
This is going to put Corey Heim back from the front row, which we haven't seen.
That was a great move by Ross. Maybe caught him just a little bit off guard with that move. Ross, the previous restart had started on the bottom, and look at how tight they're pushing down the extra.
See how the air affects these trucks. They are bouncing all around. Chastain washes up the track. Right in front of Corey Heim. He hangs on to it.
Carson Hocevar was not to be denied that lead. He was able just to squeeze ahead of Pat Keaton.
Andres Perez, you see him on the bottom there. The first truck out off going to be three.
Stalled out, and you saw Ingram take advantage of that as he begins to squeeze.
Whereas in that 77 truck you mentioned having a great day, the rookie in the truck series will be making his Xfinity debut next week in Mexico. Chesky to the inside. Pick up the spot.
Corey Heim on the rebound. We saw him get around Ross Chastain, continuing to march back toward the front.
Caution is out again. Another two damaged race trucks. Morgan Baird, one of them. The 0-2. Nathan Bird, the other. Wow. Guys, we hear caution breeds cautions. I think we've had that. This is the third time in a row.
Some significant damage there as we see to the 0-2 of Nathan Bird, and certainly significant damage as well for the 2 of Morgan Baird. So
half a truck left.
We talked about 38 laps, but with caution flag laps, I think we pit now. We're going to see a big mix up in the lineup. This really, really helps Lane Riggs. He's got his fuel. He'll stay out. Let's see if we can look at the top of the screen, see the 2 trucks.
This is back here at 28th and 29th.
Near the back, looks like Baird gets loose and just
think he got hit from behind.
take each other out.
Yeah, almost seems similar to what happened to Jack Wood earlier in the race for Morgan Baird there. Just you get into those air situations where you don't exactly know how your truck's going to respond. Maybe you haven't been in that spot earlier in the day, and once it comes around at 185 miles an hour, it doesn't take a lot to get it upset, and it's just so difficult to catch it. And you can see at the top of the screen there, top right of the screen, the 0-2 of Nathan Bird making his contact with the wall after he got contact previously.
Well, we went 70 laps without a caution for incident. Now we've had 3 in a row.
And we're just continue to log caution lap after caution lap, really changing the strategy. I think we will see the leaders pit here.
Yeah, and I'm with you, Michael. I think that it's close enough now. We've seen that maybe we're going to have a little bit of a caution flag trend. Should be close enough when we go green to get your number where you need to be for those 38, 39 green flag laps. The challenge will be for these drivers at Michigan. Difficult to save fuel, right? Talk about how much throttle time they are, how fast they're going around here. It's not like you're lifting and braking. Usually at a track where you lift and brake, you can utilize that to save fuel. And then from a driver's mindset, you lift earlier, you don't touch the brake pedal, you're coasting. Maybe you can do other things to help save that fuel. At Michigan, if you start doing too much of that, you'll lose positions. So fine line here, but I think that we're in that window now.
See if these teams are up on the wall trying to get prepared for a pit stop. Looks like we're going to see some takers. Sometimes they'll fake you out, though, won't they, Regan? They'll get up there and act like they're going to pit.
We have seen some of the best actors in all the sports on pit road right here, and I don't know that that's what we're going to see this time, but definitely worth keeping an eye on with these leaders when they get to turn 4.
Pit road is open. And the last go around, Lane Riggs was one we talked about, worked his way up into the top 10. He had trouble on pit road again. Something we saw last week at Nashville. Look at the damage to the wall. They're coming your way, Josh.
Let's get the 44 of Ross Chastain. That truck has been too tight all day long. Either way, it's going to be fuel only on this stop.
Well, Josh, Corey Heim in the middle of your screen said our truck just shut off like it did at Miami. He said, I don't know if it's a fuel pickup issue or what. So he said the dash did stay powered up on that 11. So they're going to try and see what that could potentially be then for the leader, Carson Hocevar. He didn't give any feedback yet on that truck, but so far he's in a pretty good position potentially to get a 6th career win, guys.
We saw a lot of 4-tire stops there. Regan.
Corey Heim just now leaving his pit box. That caught my attention when Caitlin said they had that issue where it just shut off again, like in Miami, where...
That was wild, wasn't it?
It was. He had it won, right, Michael? And he hung on. This is wild right here. That's quite a bit of damage.
See Daniel Hemrick and Chandler Smith on the left side of your screen, plus 10. Got to believe that was either 2 tires or even potentially gas only on those trucks. And Michael, you predicted it before these pit stops. It was going to mix the field up well. This is the most mixed up that
Yeah.
I've seen it all day long, and is going to make this next restart even more intense than the previous
We're
one.
going to find out how strong Corey Heim is and how tough it is for these drivers to make moves, because there's going to be a lot of trucks up toward the front that weren't there earlier.
And as you mentioned, trucks up to the front that weren't there, it's going to be guys that maybe you don't know how they're going to react with these moves when these moves come, and when these moves at the end of the straightaways are so big, the runs, and certainly something we'll have to keep an eye on.
So I was mentioning that Lane Riggs had issues on pit road last time he came down. Let's take a look at what happened. Michael Regan, very similar to what we saw last week.
It just looks like a shock issue, maybe, Regan, where the tire just doesn't fall out the fender. And we knew we had a new truck last week, and the fact that they just didn't have the fender where they needed to be, that caused a problem. And we know how fast he was last week. Watch here. Again, just a little bit of problem on the right front.
Yeah, very looked like a very similar issue. This was the second stop last week at the end of stage 2, and maybe a little different here. This one, you see the jackman asking him to turn the wheel to the left. He's asking the driver to turn the wheel to the left so it can clearance the fenders. But I think what we just saw today was, as you said, Michael, more of a shock issue. The tire didn't drop out of the fender wall, and took even a little bit longer in terms of getting that to fall down so the tire changer could get that off of there.
This running order is we're going to see Corey Heim outside the top 15, fast trucks, guys that have been up there all day in the back. Gio Ruggiero, I'm going to look at that name, Regan, because he's been in the top 5, top 10 most all day, and he's made his way up inside the top 2. This kid's done a good job. We'll see how that plays out in the late going for him. And the thing, Regan, that makes this so crazy is we know just things are going to get more and more intense. And now we've got fast trucks in the back, guys that hadn't been so fast up front. What a mix up this is going to be.
Well, Ross Chastain, one of those that just pitted on lap 86 back in 18th. Let's get an update. But first, before we do that, Josh, we are going to bring him to a halt. The red flag will come out. Repair work on that safer barrier ongoing. So, Josh, what are you hearing now on Ross Chastain?
Yeah, so on that last stop, the plan was originally, according to crew chief Wally Rogers, to just go with fuel only. But Ross, right before they came into pit, came over the radio and said he really wanted those 4 tires. I believe that could be the difference for them. And when that comes up, the driver wins out. So Ross got his tires, Jamie.
So he got the tires, and now he has time to sit and think about getting to this race.
Well, and Wally Rogers, I got to imagine you're sitting on the pit box, and your plan is to go fuel only when your driver is Ross Chastain, and we know the success that Ross has had at the Cup level, and of course winning the Coke 600 2 weeks ago. If your driver says he wants 4 tires, I think that you're going to listen at that moment. You're going to throw a little bit of an audible there and give him exactly what he wants to think that he needs to have to go to battle with at the end of this race.
Wally Rogers been around a long time. That guy sitting on the left side of the pit box. As the drivers sit their trucks on the track, work ongoing on the safer barrier. We'll step aside. 38 laps to go here at Michigan.
They're definitely cutting a piece out of the wall. I don't know if they're replacing it with a new piece or what they're doing. They've cut something out. I don't know if there was a piece of debris that was stuck in it. It kind of looked like it at first, but I don't think that is the case anymore. Not sure exactly what's up, but the wall repair continues in turns 3 and 4. It's not a safer barrier issue, so it's not like the trucks broke the safer barrier because of a hard hit into the wall. There's quite a bit of debris from both race trucks up along the outside of the track. Yeah, because usually when I've seen them repair the wall for any sort of issues in the past, usually they'd be welding it together, and it didn't look like they were doing that. They definitely cut a piece of the wall out. Walls are steel with foam behind it, which would be the safer barrier, I believe. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. Got almost 100 people in the chat. Appreciate everybody watching. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done so yet. Our like goal was 50, which we did hit already. We're at 53 currently. But let's see if we can get closer to 100. Under red flag for the first time in the race today, following our 5th caution of the event. 3rd for incident, which all 3 have taken place here in stage 3. And we have a little less than 40 laps to go. Grant Enfinger will take over as our new leader. Bit of alteration through the running order based off of the pit strategy in stage 3 and how these yellows have kind of backed up one after another here on the next restart. Gio Ruggiero 2nd, Matt Crafton 3rd, Matt Mills 4th, Jake Garcia 5th, Stuart Friesen 6th, Tony Breidinger 7th, Daniel Hemrick 8th, Chandler Smith 9th, Andres Perez rounds out the top 10, 11th, 12th, Ankrum, Tanner Gray. And then Corey Heim, Ross Chastain, Ty Majeski, Caden Honeycutt, Carson Hocevar, those guys 17th through 21st for the upcoming restart. They've got a ways to go.
And after that, just like that, guys.
Oh man, now we got
We're gonna be kicking things off. As
everybody's against the wall working.
continuing to fix this safer barrier, Regan.
Yeah, and what happens here, we saw how heavy the contact from Morgan Baird and Nathan Bird both was there. I'm not sure which truck it was exactly that caused this problem, but occasionally you can have a hole get poked in this safer barrier. Safer barrier is essentially metal, and then behind it you'll see at the top of the shot there just a little bit that there's some styrofoam blocks, and that absorbs the impact as these trucks hit it. But once in a while, if they hit it just wrong, there is metal on these trucks as well, and sometimes that metal can poke a hole and tear a little hole in the wall. You don't want to leave that there, because if somebody else hits it, it becomes a bigger problem throughout the course of the race. So they're just slapping a little patch up on it right there as Michael's circling the safer barriers and everything else going on. And you see the welder in action right now. This is like every construction site.
Now they're welding the wall back together from
There's
when they cut the
styrofoam you talked about, Regan.
cut the
There's
hole.
a couple of guys that have hit concrete walls, which this is the concrete wall back here. NASCAR fixes the safer barrier to the concrete wall. It's the reason why I think I'm still here today. It's just an amazing difference that the safety innovations NASCAR's made over all the years. We talk about the cars, we talk about the seats, the Hans devices. To me, that's number one right there. Getting rid of those concrete walls, and these guys that are welding the fence back together so we can get going racing. Great job by them. Let's see if we can see the impact here that causes this mess. There
Probably
they go,
not.
into that outside wall, upwards of 180 miles an hour. That's going to leave a mark.
Yeah, and certainly, Michael, those are big impacts. And Jamie, you made note immediately after we saw the 2 truck that it's almost shrunk down in half right there. And I am thankful for those safer barriers.
Well, Corey Heim, we've talked a lot about him today. He's won both stages, and he's back in 17th. Caitlin, you're with his crew chief. What are they thinking? Get the secrets.
Yeah, Jamie, well, we also heard Corey saying his truck shut off for a split second. What do you think could have contributed to that, and what is your level of concern?
Concern's a little high right at the moment. We still got 38 laps to go. Truck's fast. Corey's doing a great job. Level of concern, we're really not sure, but probably based off of things we've seen here in the past, the last half dozen races or so, it's most likely a cam sensor. Hopefully it's not, and hopefully it was just some odd little gremlin that popped up and it worked its way out, went back to the Irish Hills, and we'll go on about our business.
All right, thanks for your time. Good luck to you. Corey Heim, been one of the better trucks throughout the course of this race. Jamie?
Thanks, Caitlin. Yeah, you go back to race number 4 on this season when we heard this same thing happen to Corey. He managed to still finish 3rd, but Michael, if that's just how good his truck was before this little part, inexpensive part, ruined their day.
Yeah, he's hoping that Gremlin makes an Irish goodbye to the Irish Hills. He doesn't have to worry about.
And I appreciate Scott Zipadelli, how upfront he is with stuff, right? Are you concerned at all? And a lot of times guys will tell you, no, we're not concerned when they really are, but he's telling us exactly what he's thinking right now, and that it's not good. He's worried about it very much so.
Yeah, well, Josh, last week you were interviewing Raja Karuth, who was overjoyed with the win, and today you're with him out of the care center.
Jamie, the ups and downs of racing for Raja Caruth. So, Raja, what happened there, and also how you feeling?
Yeah, Josh, that was a bummer of a day. I mean, we had a flat tire to start the race and then spent all the first two stages trying to get back on the lead lap. And there just got on the lead lap, pushing the 33, and he's leaving a big gap, and I went to the middle, and I think the 42 just didn't know I was there or what, but just a bummer. I think our truck had good speed. It showed it yesterday, and just didn't really get a chance to show it. So really bummed for all of my HinderCars.com and Inspire Motorsports Chevy team. Thanks to Mr. H and Miss Linda. Just a bummer because I think our truck was really good. Just never got a chance to show it all day. Definitely a bummer for sure.
Tough break for Raja Caruth in the 71, but helps to have that win last week, Jamie.
Absolutely. I guess that leads to, he always has a great attitude, no
I was
matter.
gonna say, so humble and kind and gracious and thankful as a winner last week, and then equally as level-headed about unfortunate situation that took him out. Hey, what a mature young man that I've really enjoyed getting to know over the years.
Look at this. Grew up as a NASCAR fan, wanted to be a racer, so he starts iRacing.
You see, gets his opportunity to, as part of the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program, and just continued his way up through the ranks, right? Raja just has done such a nice job with the work effort that it takes.
Top 10 in his debut at St. Louis, and now here he is, third full season, two-time winner.
That was a statement win too at Nashville. We've talked all year and all day today about Corey Heim, how fast he is, how good he is. Same with Lane Riggs. He stood toe to toe with those guys and took them down and to win that guitar in Nashville.
And Michael, he was in 13th at points outside looking in. He gets the win. He punched his ticket. So now we have 5 drivers locked in to the playoffs and 5 spots remaining.
These guys getting a chance to take a deep breath here and understand how intense these next 38 laps will be when we throw the green flag and get racing.
Well, it's been quite a season. 12 races in, we've had 8 different winners.
You saw Corey Heim with 4 and Chandler Smith with 2. Corey Heim, you know, there's moments where we think that number could be 8, and certainly has been very close. And Tyler Ankrum, of course, has been a long streak for him before he got that win finally this year.
See the Cup drivers who've stopped on over. Kyle Busch getting the win in Atlanta. Larson, Miami, and Carson Hosbar, his last truck race was at Kansas. Hoping to go back to that.
There's our playoff standings. You see Corey Heim's dominant season. He's put himself in such a great position as we race toward the playoffs. Those bonus points, he will keep those throughout the playoffs, and that'll help him progress from round to round if need be. But we haven't seen any reason to think speed won't be the reason why he gets from round to round. And then down around that orange line, you're above it, you're in. You're below it today, you're out. So we know how good Gio is today. Maybe he gets a win and changes the picture down there around the playoff line as well.
Repair on the safer barrier. They're making some good progress. Shouldn't be much longer. We'll get this race back underway.
Definitely a longer red flag than I was initially thinking it was going to be. Have tempted to do another NASCAR trivia quiz to try to help pass the time. Usually we do that during red flag periods for rain. Wall repair, the reason for this red. I mean, let me know in the chat if you guys want to do a NASCAR quiz. Try to pass time. I just don't know how much longer they're going to be under red for. I'd like to think that in the next 5 minutes, we'll get back to caution. Teams have already hit pit road, so just a couple laps of yellow, and then NASCAR Sporkle trivia, of course, would be the trivia if we do go that route. Yeah, Busch won at Atlanta. Photo finish, actually, was Stuart Friesen. Closest finish amongst all 3 series so far this season. Trivia time? Yeah, we'll pass the time with trivia. Since we're under red, All right. Per usual, during red flags, we did the NASCAR all-time laps led in the stream earlier for Cup practice and qualifying, and we only did that because I'm not streaming the race tomorrow because I'm going to be there. Usually we do Sporkle quizzes in the pre-race before every Cup race. Go winners at all three. I think I saw that somewhere. There it is. Michigan winners, Cup, Xfinity, Trucks. 7 minutes. Yeah, we'll do that. That's a shorter quiz. Just make sure they're still under red. Yeah, they are still under red. Okay. Yeah, 7 minutes. We can't do a long one because I don't think it's going to be that extended. So anybody who has ever won at Michigan in the Truck, Xfinity, or Cup Series. Cup dates back to 1969. Xfinity only to 1992 and Trucks to 99. All right. Reddick. Last season, he also has an Xfinity win here. Harvick has won here a bunch. Wow. Shocking every time I look at it. Larson, former winner. Elliott, Bill Elliott, that is, former Cup winner. Petty, former winner. Pearson, former winner. Johnson, I'm doing Cup first, and then I'll circle back around. Gordon, Martin, Boyer, Kane, Earnhardt, junior and senior. Logano, Hamlin, Bush, Kenseth, Edwards, Stewart, Mayfield, right? Yeah, Jeremy Mayfield. That's what I thought. Waltrip, Parsons. Who else is one here? 2021, my guy, Ryan Blaney, Busher, James Busher won a truck race. All right, so I've got all the races I've been to. 2013. 2009 was Brian Vickers. I remember Vickers winning here, so I put him real quick. Gosh, 2012. Earnhardt won the first one. Broke the 4-year losing streak. Who won the second race there that year? Oh, I didn't put Biffle yet. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he's won here a few times. 4 times, I believe. All right, so 2004. All right. Newman? Yep. Okay, Newman. 2002. I know Rusty's on here. 2000. All right. Sterling Marlin? 2001. 2002 Michigan. Don't cheat in the chat, by the way. Don't be Googling answers. I'll come back to it. We know Zane Smith won the last truck race here. Then Austin Hill. 2018. I know Bush was on here a ton. Sauter won here before. Eric Darnell won here before. There were a lot of truck champions. Benson. Wapple. Who else has won here in trucks? Presley. Crawford? No, Crawford's not on here. Bodine, yes. Jeff Bodine also won here in Cup. Hornaday. Hornaday did not win here. Okay. Ben Rhodes? Trapton? No. I thought Thor Sports won here. Maybe that was the Johnny Sauter win then in 2014. I thought they had a. It wasn't Eckes, was it? No. Enfinger? All right, I'll skip that. Oh, yeah, 3 minutes. Dale Jarrett, by the way. Thank you for that 2002 pick. Harry Gant. Dennis Setzer. Yes. Setzer is on here. Xfinity, Gregson. Oh, shoot. Allgaier. I thought Gregson won here. My bad. Nemechek, right? Yeah, John Hunter. Who else has won? I don't think Sam. No. Sadler in Xfinity time did not. 20 Keselowski. Keselowski's won here. Xfinity. Dillon? Austin Dillon was 2018. Stenhouse? No. It was a little after his time. Gibbs. Ty Gibbs. 2021. Oh gosh, I don't know. Yarborough, yeah, we gotta go back to the old guys. Kale won here a ton. Most laps led all time. Foyt, I believe, won here. No, he did not. Never mind. AJ won here. Ernie Irvin. Ricky Rudd. I already got him. No, AJ's not on here. Timothy Peters is not on here either. There's not enough time. We only have a minute. Yeah, Moffitt's won here a couple times. That's right. Remembered some of the truck champs. That 2021 Xfinity Series is bothering me. Bowman? No. Was it Byron? No. Oh, gosh. Bell. No. Who won Xfinity that year? Was it a Cup guy? Brandon Jones? No. Dang it. I don't have the Labanis yet. Thank you. There's not a lot of time here. Bert never won here. Yep, okay. Oh, man, there's not a lot of time. We only got 18 left. Had there been more time, I think I could get this list in. Menard. I can't believe I got Paul Menard on that. 2014 Xfinity. Oh, gosh. 2021 is... Ryan Reed only ever won at Daytona. Gosh. I don't know who won that Xfinity race. I can't remember. Oh, it was AJ. Oh, somebody said Allmendinger in the chat. So I'm sorry for that. I thought you were talking about Cup. I'm such an idiot. AJ Allmendinger in 2021. I always forget that he went Xfinity racing before Cup when he came back full time. Daniel Suarez was 2016. Steve Park, Jeff Purvis won Busch races in the 90s. That's it. Those are the only four we missed. There was not enough time to do this quiz. Truck Series, the only ones we were missing were Eric Almirola, which I don't know that I would have gotten that. Nelson Piquet, Colin Braun, Brendan Gaughan. And in Cup, Davey Allison in 1988, 92, and 91. I just ran out of time. I would like to think I would have put the Allisons on here. Baker. And then Charlie Glotzback. Other than the Allisons, one Baker win, one Charlie Glotzback win, and that is it for Cup. I just didn't have enough time. I'm not stressing over not having Bobby and Davey Allison on here because I was just crunching for time. I was spending so much time on Cup. I'm like, I got to get these Xfinity and truck guys too. I kind of forgot about the Cup stuff. Yeah, 7 minutes was not a lot of time to do that. 89% though. 83's average score, which is actually pretty high. Usually the average score isn't that high. 143 out of 160. Well, that was good to pass the time during the red flag. They are back to caution flag conditions, and they have just been given the 1 to go signal this time by at the line. So just in time, we finished the quiz, and they're going to be back to racing here shortly. So once again, Grant Enfinger going to be the leader. His former teammate Matt Crafton will be on the front row with him. Crafton was in third, Gio Ruggiero outside of road 2 from second. Carson Hocevar coming back down onto pit road. Looks like they're pulling the fender on the right front out from the right front tire. So this is going to line him up at the tail end of the field on the restart. Must have had contact on the last restart before this. Either that or contact on pit road that caused the
contact today, but
Maybe they saw it.
there's something they're concerned about, and that tool they're using, Michael, that's used to get the fender away from the tire a little bit.
And maybe they saw some rub or some wear on your Eagle that they took off it.
Yeah, and he's got to go and get caught up with the field because they're about to restart without him. He's just now leaving pit road. The leaders are getting into turn 3. I think he'll be able to get caught up with the back of the pack. Maybe he can have a 2012 Sprint Unlimited or bunch shootout restart like Kyle Busch did at Daytona, where the field's getting up to speed and he just passes everybody going into turn 1. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think he'll have enough room to be able to do that. I still remember that. That was the funniest thing. Oh, jeez. Between that and then the Montoya jet dryer breaking the next week in the 500, I mean, what a speed week that was. My goodness, 2012. Definitely a wild one. A wild thing won that race. Yeah, Hocevar getting caught up with the back of the pack as they're getting into the restart. Green flag is back in the air. There he goes. He is. He's up the inside of like 5 trucks before they get into the first turn. I wondered if he was going to do that. He probably, I don't know if that's legal or not. I thought after Busch they outlawed that. Hocevar probably passed about half the pack on the inside. There he is. He got by Corey Heim. He caught back up to where Heim was running. He should not have been there. Oh, trouble right around Hocevar to his outside. Ankrum's up against the wall. We're still green. How was that not a caution? Ankrum slid sideways. Majeski into the back of him. Several other trucks have to check up to keep from wrecking. We're still green. This is the wildest restart of the race by far. Grant Enfinger's got the lead in all of it. Gio Ruggiero did get back into second. Crafton, who was inside of row 1, falls back to 4th. He's got Daniel Hemrick in front of him. And Stuart Friesen in the top 5 for the first time today. These trucks of Matt Mills and Ross Chastain working together. Chastain trying to slide up in front of Andres Perez. Took his line away, slowed Chastain down in the process, and Lane Riggs gets by both race trucks. Now Riggs almost squeezes Chastain into the wall in the front stretch. It's a ThorSport truck. It looks like Ben Rhodes in the 99, giving a big push to Ross Chastain. He'll take that push. He'll try to get by his teammate Mills. He's got to go because Corey Heim, Chandler Smith, and other strong trucks behind are closing fast. To Ross Chastain, it would be the highest in the running order of those that were in the top 10 before the cycling of the last pit stops because of drivers trying to pit for fuel only before that on the caution that came out a lap or less before everybody else just topped off during this last caution before the red flag in the middle of it. I think Caden Honeycutt got up against the wall as well right behind Tyler Ankrum. They're showing that replay currently. There were quite a few trucks that were up in the top 5 earlier that were near or in that mess. Ankrum, Honeycutt, Majeski. The red was for wall repair in turns 3 and 4. For those of you wondering what the red flag was out for. Hocevar had to come back down onto pit road for the restart to pull the fender out from the right front. There was some damage on the car. And he was getting caught back up. And as they were going to the restart, he passed 5 trucks to the inside. And he is up to about 11th or 12th place now. So he did get a head start. It was enough so because Corey Heim was, 19th? 18th, and he passed Corey Heim by the time they got to the back straightaway because Hocevar was at speed already, and the rest of the field wasn't. I don't know how that isn't a black flag. I mean, the fact that NASCAR let that go is kind of mind-boggling to me because I know you can't hold back on a restart and get a launch, and I would think that that would fall under that category. I can't be the only one who saw that. For anybody watching visually in the chat, you'll have to let me know. But I definitely saw it as it happened. I don't know if anybody else saw that. I kind of made the throwback to Kyle Busch, and I was kind of joking around when I said that. I didn't think he was actually going to do it. I mean, he passed 5 rows of trucks before he even got into the first turn. He's up 16 positions since the restart, most of any driver. And he's currently in 12th. Heim did get back around him. Corey is in 11th. And then other drivers on that same strategy. Chastain is already up to 4th. What a restart by that 44 truck. Chastain's also ticked away the fastest lap of the race at lap 70, which was not this restart, but the restart before that. 38.981 is the fastest lap of the race. Chastain's up 15 positions now since the restart. And again, up to 4th. Chandler Smith on the same strategy as Hosvar and Heim. Hosvar and Heim just keep going back and forth at one another. They're up to 10th and 11th. Keep seeing them flip-flopping on the leaderboard on the left-hand side of Fox's broadcast. 28 laps to go this time by. Grant Enfinger is still out in the lead. His lead is only 0.2 of a second over Gio Ruggiero. 0.3 to Tanner Gray in 3rd, and 0.4 to Ross Chastain in 4th. 5th place is Daniel Hemrick, 0.8 off the lead, but the top 4 are all under a blanket. Chastain's going for 3rd after Tanner Gray to his inside. They'll be door-to-door down the backstretch. And they go to a full-screen commercial break. That is not the time. 28 laps to go. Things were picking up here towards the finish off this last restart. Full-screen break. No clue what's going on. We'll go through the full field leaderboard while we're waiting for them to come back. Grant Enfinger's out in front again, and then Gio Ruggiero in 2nd. Tanner Gray 3rd. Lane Riggs is 4th, so that tells me Chastain had a failed pass attempt for 3rd because he's back to 6th now. So Riggs is 4th. Hemrick is 5th. Chastain's 6th. Corey Heim is up to 7th. He's up 11 spots since the restart. Stuart Friesen 8th. Jake Garcia 9th. Carson Hocevar 10th. Chandler Smith in 11th. Connor Mosack 12th. 13th for Andres Perez. Corey LaJoie 14th. Matt Crafton 15th. Dawson Sutton 16th. Lawless Allen 17th. Ben Rhodes 18th. Jack Wood 19th. And 20th for Ty Majeski. Frankie Muniz 21st. Luke Fenhouse 22nd. Matt Mills 23rd. Spencer Boyd 24th. And Tony Breidinger, last truck in the lead lap, at 25th. Honeycutt, after that restart and the damage against the wall, he and Anchor made contact with the wall. Anchor is 3 laps down. Honeycutt 1 lap down. I believe they both came onto pit road and probably had to change right side tires at least. Ankrum is now 5 down. He might be off the racetrack entirely. The 18, that is. Honeycutt just lost another lap. Now he's 2 down. Josh Reaume, 28th. Still in the race, but 11 laps down. And then 29th on back are out. Morgan Beard, 29th. Nathan Bird, 30th. Raja Krut, 31st. And Norm Benning, 32nd. Wild restart at Michigan. As we usually see, this track is very wide on the front stretch. Very big. Big runs in the draft. And by far, that was the wildest one that we've seen so far today. Still waiting for them to come back for commercials, so we'll take a quick break of our own. You're listening live on KRC to the Craftsman Truck Series at Michigan, as we are down to about 20 to go. The light goal was at 50, so we definitely got there. We're at 59 currently. We have about 100 people in the chat, so be sure to hit the like button if you guys haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more NASCAR content like this every NASCAR race weekend. Truck Xfinity Cup races as well as Cup practice and qualifying live right here. Any Cup races that I go to in person, like for tomorrow during the Michigan race, there will be race highlights from the grandstands uploaded later that night. So there will still be content tomorrow, but no stream. And only streams for this weekend in Michigan are today. With this stream right now, Craftsman Truck Series Racing and then cup practice and qualifying that took place earlier in the morning. Corey Heim has gotten up into the top 5. During the commercial break, he made up 4 positions. Hocevar only up 2 more spots to 9th. It was 11th. He's only 2 seconds off the lead, though. Corey Heim only 0.8 back, hanging in with the top 5 in the draft. Both through the tri-oval and down the back straightaway, Grant Enfinger has been trying to cut his draft effect off by going to the bottom of the racetrack. And you can see the accordion back and forth, the snake, if you will, down both straightaways of the trucks trying to stay in the draft behind them to that of our race leader. But the gap is still very tight. Enfinger's not won yet this season. He had 2 wins last year. Both were in the playoffs. We'll see if he can break through to victory lane for the first time here at Michigan. He has never won at Michigan. Lane Riggs is up to 2nd. He just got by Gio Ruggiero through turns 3 and 4. Big defense there for Ross Chastain trying to hold Corey Heim behind him. Chastain to the outside after getting a push from Heim down the front stretch. And Chastain should get by Heim's teammate Gio Ruggiero this time. Chastain is clear barely for 3rd. Middle of the back straightaway, cuts to the bottom in front of the 17. And the only 2 in front of him are now Riggs and Enfinger. Riggs has 3 straight top 3s coming into the day, but he's been nowhere near the top 10 today up until the flip-flopping of the field, and now he's got track position with 20 laps to go in 2nd. He didn't score a single stage point today. He was outside the top 10 in stage 1 and stage 2. But he's in contention, and he has a big run into 1 and 2. He's taken a challenge after Enfinger for the lead. I think he's quicker than the 9. Enfinger hasn't been great through the day as well. Big run. He couldn't quite pull alongside the 9, but if he pulls alongside, it's going to slow both trucks down and might allow for Chastain to have a run to get to the lead as well. Ruggiero trying to cross over Chastain for 4th. They're door to door. Through the tri-oval, that'll slow him down and allow for Corey Heim just behind in 5th to catch both trucks. Heim's going to stay behind his teammate Ruggiero, give him a push at the end of the front stretch, and Gio's clear into turn 1. Heim got very loose on the bottom of the racetrack. His truck was sliding sideways. He loses momentum, and now Hocevar, who's up to 6th, is closing fast behind the 11. Every one of these top 6 are very much in contention for the win with 18 laps to go this time by. Honeycutt back on the pit road again. Right front flat on his truck after damage from hitting the wall on the restart. Chastain looking to get back into 3rd. He's clear on entry into turn 1 on Ruggiero. Gio not going to be able to cross him back over. I hope this stays green because this is going to be a thrilling finish with these top 6. They are all within 1.3 seconds of the lead. Nobody's getting away with the 2 slower trucks of them out in front, Enfinger and Riggs. Riggs still hasn't been able to pull alongside Enfinger, but again, if he does, those back 4 are going to catch in a hurry.
What's going on at the front of the pack, and we've seen him do that this year, and continues to, and now he's going to have to figure out how to calculate holding off Corey Heim, who's been so incredibly strong at different points in this race. The other thing that we got to look at, catching up to Corey Heim, is now Carson Hocevar. Calculated the 2 of them more when they were at the front of the pack earlier in the race, being able to choose when and where to pass. Now that they're together like they've done on restarts earlier on, will they be able to maybe work together to get past some of this traffic?
We went from a Heim party of 5 to a party of 6. A party of 6. That's what this lead pack is all about.
I'm just impressed with Grant Enfinger. You know, all day we've been talking about him not being happy handling in the race truck so they get a shot out front, and look at him. He's holding them all off.
That tri-oval is so bumpy on the bottom.
Clean air, right? That clean air is, we might be speaking too soon here, Lane.
Riggs for the lead.
And here's the problem. If Lane can't complete this,
He's not clear.
He's not going to be able to off a turn 2. Watch what happens and he's able to get back.
Chastain.
Here comes Ross Chastain.
Here comes Heim. Here
Wow, big run, Corey Heim. Yeah,
Lane Riggs
at least 1, maybe 2.
Look at that battle.
Look how close they are.
Oh!
And
Bump drafting almost gone wrong there. Enfinger getting pushed by Chastain to get out ahead of the rest of the trucks running behind, and now Chastain will go for the lead into turn 1. He is not clear, though, as he tries to slide up on Grant Enfinger, side by side down the back straightaway, and Lane Riggs has a run off the top. Riggs goes to the bottom, a block by Chastain, contact to the inside, 3 wide for the lead, entering into 3. Lane Riggs is not clear. Center of the corner, Chastain in the middle. They clear the 9 of Enfinger, who is on the outside, and now it's the 34 and 44 of Chastain and Riggs, who are door-to-door for the lead. What a battle at Michigan, 14 laps to go. Enfinger with the crossover again, and they're 3 wide into 1. Corey Heim on the outside trying to push Chastain and get him back going as Enfinger slingshots back to the lead. Grant Enfinger out in front. He's got about 4 truck lengths on the battle for second. Riggs barely off of the back bumper of that 44 finally. Hocevar and Heim are getting caught up. Enfinger in the draft all by himself, and the 44 with the 11 are closing now in second and third. Heim is clear of Lane Riggs. Heim's going to be able to get a push from Riggs on the front stretch. Chastain goes to the bottom. Now he has to go to the top to block the 11, and they almost get together again. They probably did. Now the 11 hooks the back of the 44. The 44 with a run after the 9. Heim trying to block the 34 to keep from getting him to the outside. In the process of doing so, Hocevar's up to third. Carson Hocevar picks up 3 positions over the course of the last lap. He's to third, and he's got the 11 pushing him down the back straightaway. Now Hocevar goes for second under Ross Chastain. He may be able to get underneath Enfinger for the lead. Hocevar has gone from 6th to side-by-side for the lead in 2 laps. But he's not going to have the help that the 9 has on the top. And he's going to get freight train. Chastain gets by. Heim gets by. Hocevar back to 4th again. And now with Chastain going for the lead into turn 1. He's clear of Grant Enfinger. Enfinger has to lift in the dirty air. And Chastain is now the leader of the pack. And Riggs bounces off the wall exiting turn 2. We stayed green, but that looked like a pretty decent hit. He's going to lose a spot to Ruggiero. Riggs falls to 6th. And we'll have to wait to see if he's got a flat tire. Enfinger holding up Corey Heim. Hocevar gets from 4th to 2nd off of turn 4. Chastain getting a run off the lap truck in front of him. Breidinger stays to the inside. Big run for Hocevar. Blocked by Chastain. Hocevar to the outside. That's the prime position to try to make the pass on corner exit. Chastain hooked to the yellow line. He slides. Contact. And around goes Chastain. Now he saved it. He saved it. Oh my goodness. Chastain saves it. The caution is not out. We stay green. Hocevar's driving away with it. Unbelievable. Oh my goodness. Heim got up to 2nd after Chastain and Hocevar made contact. Hocevar's wiggling his truck. Does he have a flat? 10 to go. There's significant contact with the 44. That left rear looks like it might be soft. Debris on the back straightaway. There's a tire carcass. And the caution flag is out with 10 laps to go because of it. What is going on here at Michigan? Race of the year. All 3 series. I don't care. What a battle. The tire carcass might have come from Lane Riggs' truck. That right front is flat after he had hit the wall a couple laps before. He's back onto pit road to change the right front and put a scuff on. The next question is, does Carson Hocevar have enough air in that left rear tire to make it to the end after the contact from Ross Chastain just before that?
Kiss is all it took.
The wall closed
Good
you right there, and the
grief.
wants to be getting tight right there. We saw the trucks out in front of him, taking some of the air off of him, and just classic Michigan, right? That's racing at Michigan.
This is amazing truck control right here. And you see the reason why Hocevar is concerned about that left rear right there. But watch what Ross Chastain does. He's got his foot wide open, Regan.
foot wide open. He's steering back to the right. He's
What a
waiting for that
save,
catch,
dude.
That truck to catch, and you see the
He's
tire
in pit.
left as it caught right
I
there.
thought
He's
he was
waiting
wrecked.
for it to catch, come back over to the left side
Wow.
of the truck, and when that happens, you've got to be steering back to the right before that happens in order to keep it straight. And by the way, Ross is doing all this at 185 miles an hour. I know that was instant replay, slow motion. That was 185 miles an hour. Incredible save by him.
Amazing.
They were both sideways going for the lead of this race and tremendous saves by both, especially.
I thought
that
they were
man
both
right there,
wrecked, and I really
44.
thought Chastain
I'm
was
worried about
wrecked.
the 7 trucks left rear. I wonder. Let's see if we can pick up some radio transactions.
Golly.
10-4, Brian Patty, crew chief.
They're concerned about you can see the left rear tire is black. It used to have yellow letters on it. It's not that way anymore. Pretty significant contact from Ross. Will that tire hold up? That's the question for the 7 in Hocevar.
So what's the communication for the drivers behind him now? They hear that, they know that's an issue to be heads up.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna they're going to be aware that he's got a little bit of issue with the left rear. The communication actually might be is, hey, we use clearance. It's very difficult when you're not up to speed to tell that. But I like the attitude of Carson Hocevar right there to say, hey, we're not here to finish 15th, right? I'm not running for points. We're here to win the race. Let's take our chance, see what happens. And
It looks
I
soft.
think that's really the only play in that situation for that team.
And if you ask me to pull
It's
the pit,
flat.
tell me if I should pit or not, I'm gonna say pit.
I think it's flat. It looks like that left rear is going down, and I think he has to pit. The more they show it, the more it looks like it's lost air from the lap before, and I think Hocevar is going to have to pit. There's quite a bit of rippling going on, and they had quite a few laps on these tires, so it can't be the air pressure setting.
To get these beautiful shots and cover all this.
I think he's got to pit.
We've had them plenty as well.
We certainly have. This has
Amy,
been
ever
a good
since
one.
you said the Craftsman 20 to go, things have just gone crazy.
They really have.
They must have hurt you.
6 cautions today and for 31 laps.
To be fair, he did jump the last restart. NASCAR just said, it's fine. I think he's coming in. Yeah, he's coming into pit. Enfinger to follow. Maybe quite a few trucks hit pit road as well, and he doesn't restart as far back in the pack.
Stankiewicz, they tried to gamble, but ultimately he told me the tires were gone by the end of that run, and they need to get fuel if they want to make it to the end. So he comes in.
Yeah, Josh, Carson Hocevar been so strong throughout the course of this race. They kind of went back and forth on what to do. They said, you want to win or you want to finish 15th? But ultimately, they elected to pit because of that tire, guys.
Yeah, tough break for Carson Hocevar. You told him we're going to win, but he just didn't feel like that tire was going to hold up.
So
No.
now the conversation as they get ready to come back to green on our radio is going to be, we're still going to win. We're just going to have to do it from way in the back. And that's how quick a race car driver has to forget about things, right? Carson knows, okay, I can't change what's happened right here. I'm going to focus forward on figuring out how to get back in front. It's going to be difficult, but we've seen Carson do some pretty spectacular things before in a truck.
Well, you know, our director, Darren Foster, he's going to keep an eye on that 7 truck. Keep a camera on him. Let's watch as these laps wind down.
And this is a chance for Corey Heim to see how this choose situation, when we get ready to make the restart, who goes where, which can help dictate his decision. I think he will go behind his teammate. What do you think, Regan? Maybe both those trucks choose the top side. We've seen it before from our leaders.
You know, you got team trucks there, Michael, right? And I think we've seen that throughout the course of the day right now. I'd have a little bit of thought process if I'm Corey Heim, though. I understand that it's my teammate there. But if I think I can get to the bottom and perhaps have Ross Chastain back there pushing me, I may take that opportunity as well, because if not, let's say Ross Chastain gets a great restart, he clears him for the lead. Now you've lost that control and the ability to maybe make some of the blocks that you need to do. So be an interesting decision right here, as you just mentioned.
Ross has been really, really strong on the short runs as we see the Sears take the top side. I figured that might happen. And then Ross is going to have Tanner Gray pull in behind him. That's going to be his pusher.
which is a team.
Chastain was 5th when the caution came out. Now he's inside row 1 because the top 3 took the outside. And, well, it would have been 2nd through 4th took the outside. And obviously, who would have been leading, Carson Hocevar, had that flat left rear tire. He had to come to pit road. Carson, because of quite a few trucks pitting, is in row 7 on the outside. He's not out of it, but we're only going to have about 5 laps to go in the restart. So there's not going to be a lot of time to get up there. Crazy things could happen. We saw a lot of craziness there in the last 20 laps leading up to the caution, which we're under currently.
Jesus, Kyle Busch by that much.
Kyle Busch put on a clinic there.
What about Texas? 40 Hour drive of the year to that point. Amazing.
North Wilkesboro.
Well, the gloves came off there.
Full contact. Corey Heim goes around. Chandler Smith rolls into victory lane for the 2nd time this season.
If you haven't watched much NASCAR truck racing, ladies and gentlemen, watch this restart. The pushes.
Yeah, this is going to get insane. I mean, the restarts at Michigan are nuts compared to most other tracks. Here in Pocono, just because of how wide the straightaway is from top to bottom. And obviously the high speeds in with that as well. 5-lap dash. Who is going to get it done? Chastain inside of row number 1. Great save. Kept him in the race. Crowd on their feet. How could they not be? What a treat to them. Oh, Chastain stumbled on the restart. They're wrecking. Oh, Chastain's around. Big crash for the leaders as they come to the green. Gio Rogero's down in the grass. He was outside of row 1. What happened? Oh, my gosh. Oh, I don't even know what happened. That happened so fast. I mean, it looked like the entire field was in it. Quite a few were able to get through at slow pace, but there was nowhere to go. Both of the front row trucks were sideways. Hemrick's got a ton of damage. Gio Ruggiero was down in the grass. Corey LaJoie leading the race now? Where'd he come from? He has been up there all day. In the 07 for Spire Motorsports. This race just keeps getting crazier.
Got better because a lot of trucks ahead of him are damaged. There's Carson Hocevar.
Carson got through it.
Through that unscathed.
Maybe he was lucky he did pit. He was nowhere near the mess.
There's going to be a lot of trucks have to go to pit road.
That is unbelievable.
This is a mess. We thought it would be aggressive. It turned overly aggressive. There's the restart line. You can start in that box, and you can see the push from behind on Ross was just more than he could handle. He handled it, but then the push on the back of Gio turned him into Ross, and the way they all went.
And it actually looked like, both of our leaders there, as they got ready to start going, it was almost 2 separate incidents.
Corey Heim had quite a bit of damage driving through the grass. I think his splitter got torn up too.
As well, and don't know. We'll have to watch again here and see if they were waiting late in the zone to go.
That's what it looks like. It looked like they just went.
Both trucks were getting pushed.
And Corey LaJoie is going to be the leader.
They were having trouble hooking up the rear tires to get going.
He got through it.
If those pushes come too soon, what happens is you spin the rear tires and you can't go anywhere, and you start dancing around as we saw. And it almost appeared that both lanes had that happen just about at the same time.
That's exactly what happened. The second row thought the front row would go sooner, and they both turned around the front 2 guys. And Ross survived his spin until he got hit the second time, and it was over.
And you might watch that at home and say, well, why didn't Gio Ruggiero just go, right? Why didn't he go? Why was he waiting so long? As the leader of the race, you see the white stripes on the track there. He's got a restart zone, and just big hits back here through the pack. And the number 7, as you guys have mentioned, Carson Hocevar making it through there. But going back to the restart zone, Gio is the leader of the race. He's got the option to choose where he wants to go right there. And he can wait all the way until that last white stripe before he goes if he wants to.
It was the first white stripe where they were pushing everybody.
They know they had to be aggressive. We talked about how aggressive it was going to be. And they went to the back bumpers of the leaders on the front row. And it was
Corey Heim's all sorts of tore up.
When you hit that back end, it lifts those tires a bit. Let me watch the Morgan camp go through this mess. See how Frankie does. He sees the problems. Everything's going all right. And we're going to survive this one there, guys.
Some nice,
Just
nice
navigating the infield, grass. It's been a decent day for Frankie Muniz, having the best run we've seen, Michael and Regan, since Daytona.
Stayed on the lead lap all day long.
All right.
Long inside the top 20.
A lot to figure out here, guys. Now there's a lot of names suddenly that we're going to be talking about that are going to be in contention for the win. That was one of the wildest restarts I've seen. Look at Corey Heim and the damage.
Frankie Muniz is 6th.
Another day that what could have been
What?
for Corey Heim at that electrical gremlin and then got
Hemrick is scored as our leader, but he had quite a bit of damage from the incident, so I'd be shocked if he stays out and tries to keep it going for this next restart. What a mess that was. Well, now we're going into overtime. Past the scheduled distance. I don't even know who's left. Hocevar made it through the wreck, but he only picked up about 5 positions. 7th. He was probably so slow trying not to hit anybody that there are other drivers who missed the wreck that were able to get by him as well.
That's exactly what we saw, Regan. Just the two leaders decided not to go at the line, and that has to be communicated back to your teammate of when you're going to go. And Corey just didn't feel like that. His teammates sped up when they started to go into the restart zone.
Well, and I even think to take it one step further there, felt like he slowed down, right? And the rule is you are supposed to maintain your speed. There's a specific speed they want you to maintain. And look at this list of trucks that were involved in this wreck. Just
all the literally every driver who was up in the top 5 all day taken out. Other than Hocevar, who was behind that because he had a flat tire leading up to the last restart.
They'll come in and make.
But he's in 7th.
I think even more interesting than this list that were involved in the wreck is our current top 10 as we get ready to decide who's going to win this race here in Michigan. Holy cow.
With how many guys are at the front of the pack, if Hocevar doesn't get to the lead, I think we're going to have a first-time Truck Series winner. I mean, the top 6, other than Daniel Hemrick, well, we'll include Daniel Hemrick. He has 1 win, and that was earlier this season. On another race where he wasn't really competing for the race win, but an overtime restart got him through to the lead, and cautions breeding cautions led him to that situation. Kind of what we're seeing here today at Michigan all of a sudden. But he's got damage. The next 5 drivers behind him have no wins in the Truck Series. LaJoy. I don't even know how many starts Corey LaJoy has, but it can't be many. Dawson Sutton, Jake Garcia, Frankie Muniz, Lawless Allen. And because of the equipment that a lot of those guys are in, other than LaJoy, who is in a Spire Chevy, I would like to think Hocevar's going to be able to get by all those guys. The problem is he only has 2 laps. But I've also seen Kyle Larson go 4 wide for the lead on a restart at Michigan in a cup race. I could see Carson Hocevar making some insane moves here on this restart, and he is definitely quicker than everybody in front of him. NASCAR still shuffling through the restart. It does look like LaJoy is the leader, which I thought was the case. I think that's the right call. There's no way with Hemrick having the damage he did that he maintained speed through the wreck and missing it, unlike the top 2 that are now reshuffled in front of him. So Corey LaJoy leads. Dawson Sutton is in 2nd, and then Daniel Hemrick in 3rd. Jake Garcia gets shuffled up to 4th. Frankie Muniz and Lawless Allen flip-flop from 5th to 6th, so Frankie Muniz is now in 5th. Carson Hocevar still in 7th. I don't know who wasn't involved in the crash, but a lot of the drivers that were are either out or they're still in, but they're going to be with damage at the tail end of the lead lap for the finish of this race. Like Ruggiero, Wood, Chandler Smith, Heim, Tanner Gray. They all have pretty significant damage. Aerodynamically, I would think the 19's damage is going to slow him down too much. It's not going to slow him down as much as what I'm probably thinking, but I would imagine leading, it's not going to be great to get clean air on that nose. once they get up to speed, which takes almost a full lap, at least by the time they get into turn 3, the opening lap of the restart. Silent Owl Scribe, Lightning, thanks for tuning in. As well as everybody else who's been watching throughout the course of today's live commentary stream. I'll be at Michigan for the Cup race tomorrow, so there's going to be race highlights from the grandstands uploaded, but no live commentary stream for the Cup race. We'll be back in action next weekend for NASCAR at Mexico City for full live commentary coverage all the way through the weekend. But today, just this truck race and then Cup practice and qualifying, which took place earlier this morning. Again, congrats to Chase Briscoe scoring his 3rd pole in 3 straight weeks. 3 straight poles for JGR at Michigan in the NASCAR Cup Series. And now today, we get to wrap up this Craftsman truck race, which has been wild all day. Only to add to the pandemonium of this was that last restart where the leaders were basically spun out from the cars, pushing them from behind as they were getting out of the restart zone and causing mayhem at the front of the pack. That was with 5 laps to go. This is going to be an overtime restart, so we're only going to have 2 laps left, and if the race leader gets to the white flag, the next flag would end the race, whether it would be the yellow or the checker. Osamar is inside of row 3. He's the fastest of these drivers in the top, I'd say top 10, because we saw Enfinger in the lead, and he was able to hold on for a bit, but once the tires started to fall off on that only decently long green flag run of stage 3, he then fell back, and he was out of that race for the top 6 there by the closing portion of what I thought would have been the last caution for debris, which ended up not because of the most recent wreck. All right, here we go. Green flag back in the air. Corey LaJoie gets going. One truck just spun their tires on the restart. As Frankie Muniz inside of row 2. Hocevar and Crafton will draft each other past everybody. The entire outside lane gets going. But that may take Hocevar out of a shot to win. Jake Garcia through to second behind our race leader, Corey LaJoie. One car hits hard on the back straightaway up turn 2 against the outside wall. That was Lawless Allen. While the race for the lead goes on at the front of the pack. LaJoie leads into 3-4. Now the left front just blew out on the 19 of Daniel Hemrick. He's in the wall hard, and the caution's out again. And as I mentioned, I'm surprised he didn't come to pit road because of the damage that he had. Well, that same damage just cut his tire down. And we're going to have another overtime restart. That was a pretty hard hit for Hemrick. You could see the left front blow right in the middle of turns 3 and 4 and pancake the wall with the right side of his race truck. LaJoie is going to be the leader once everything cycles through. I don't think the leaders behind him realized the caution was out, but it was. So LaJoie is going to be out in front, not Enfinger. I don't even know who's in second. I mean, Jake Garcia was in second when they got into the corner, so I'd imagine he's going to be in second still. That guy's racing when the caution flag was out. Wallace Allen hit the wall pretty hard off turn 2. I'm not sure what happened to him. It just looked like he got tight and went wide. It looks like the suspension broke on the right front of the one, but that could have been after he'd hit the wall because he hit it quite a bit. Well, it was racing. What was... I said that this was the race of the season, any series. It was up until these last 2 restarts. Up until we got to 5 to go, and then the whole field wrecked at the front of the pack, and then this happened, and now we're having a second overtime. Up until that point, this was the race of the year. I'll have to backtrack, off of that sentiment. We still may have a classic finish, but as far as the best race of the year goes, I think it's still the Coke 600. I think this race had the Coke 600 beat up until the last 2 restarts. It's a shame, but man, there was contact between Enfinger and Allen. That's what caused Allen to get against the wall. Lawless, it was in the middle 3 wide. It looked like Enfinger just crowded him, and that's what led to the contact. The one ended up getting loose afterwards. I don't think Enfinger realized he was there. Spotter did not call 3 wide, I would assume. So Enfinger caused that, and then the 19 blowing a tire right in front of him. He misses that incident, and all of a sudden Enfinger's up to third after he restarted, I think, in ninth. But he was on the outside lane, and remember the inside row from Frankie Muniz, row 2 on back, got all held up because Muniz didn't get fired off on the restart. I don't know if he missed a shift or he spun his tires. He might have missed a shift. It didn't look like his truck was swaying back and forth like he was spinning the rear tires, but that jacked up everybody on the inside. So Enfinger, whatever row he restarted in on the outside, he was in 9th place when the last caution came out, and now he's in 3rd. Hosevar's still in 7th, following the carnage that happened in front of him after he had finally got out from behind Muniz's truck. Muniz fell back to 11th. And Giro, who's involved in the caution after leading on the restart before that, is all of a sudden now up to 14th. Survive and advance to the next lap is the name of this race all of a sudden. War of attrition in Michigan. We had a red flag. We had a slightly delayed start because of time constraints with cup practice and qualifying beforehand. It's been a longer stream than I was expecting. 2 hours and 15 minutes roughly, but that's not including the red flag time, which I'm not sure exactly how long the red flag lasted. Our usual raw feed from years past on the channel would show that statistic, but I don't think I have anybody or anything here. Actually, I might be able to go to the timeline. Timeline might have something. I don't know what lap it was on. Caution, red period. Maybe the timeline would show something. It does not. Corey LaJoie still leading. He's never won in any of the top 3 series in NASCAR, and he's trying to win here today at Michigan in his first truck start with Spire Motorsports. Heck of a story. He wasn't running anywhere near the top 10 all day, but he survived the last wreck, second to last wreck, with the restart caution. And this one he was ahead of. Jake Garcia, the ThorSport trucks were quick in practice and qualifying times earlier. Outside of Ty Majeski, I really hadn't seen speed for a potential race win out of anybody. Majeski fell off the lead lap early in stage 3. He got caught up in a near incident between Tyler Ankrum and Caden Honeycutt towards the back of the pack. I think it was after the red flag caution specifically. He is in 18th on the lead lap now, but I don't know how much damage he has maybe from the restart caution before that, but he is in 18th. Hemrick taking a ride back to the infield care center following the hard hit he had. After his left front went flat, bringing out this most recent caution from overtime number 1, now into overtime number 2. Awaiting the next restart, we'll take another break here. You're listening live on KRC. It's been wild at Michigan here today for the Craftsman Truck Series.
Championship and make the playoffs. Then you got Dawson Sutton in 4th place right now. You don't even see him on this list that we are looking at the moment. That's how important this race could be for him, and being inside that top 5, and as crazy as these endings are getting, or this race has gotten at the ending, I just got to believe that those 2 guys in particular are going to be doing everything they can right here.
The win and you're in format rewards that for sure. Raja Cruz saw it last week as we're coming to the choose.
Mix it up, see who goes where.
I think
There's
where the joy would go to the top. There you see the choose box. There goes
Carson Osmar up to row 3. I think he was really happy when he saw Stuart Friesen go high. That moved him up a row.
I like what we see right there. Really joy, right? You've got Grant Enfinger right behind you in the 9 truck. We know that that's a veteran. We know that he can give some really good shoves and pushes, and maybe get you guys, maybe get themselves out front to where they can.
Is that a car horn? What was that?
Worried about Nick Garcia, Jamie.
Yes, listen to what they're talking about.
Garcia light on fuel?
Well, that's why I'm concerned. He has 6 more laps on his gas tank than anybody else in this field right now. That could mean a sputter on this restart, and we know how tragic that could be for not only Jake, but for the rest of the field who's going to be pushing so hard.
Corey LaJoy in the 07, just his 6th career Truck Series start. He's been a Cup racer.
There you go, 6th.
Never won at this.
6 truck start. He's never won a National Series event in NASCAR. Jake Garcia, very light on fuel, will be on the inside of row 1 looking for his first career truck win in his 2nd full-time season. Enfinger, Sutton just behind them. Hocevar inside of row 3 again. Green flag back in the air. LaJoy getting a big push from the 9 of Grant Enfinger. They're going to pull clear of Jake Garcia. Hocevar 3 wide on the bottom of the track is going to try to pull past Sutton. He pulls to the inside of Garcia, who did not take off well on the restart, despite getting help from Dawson Sutton from behind. And Grant Enfinger from the outside of row 2 quickly to the lead off turn 2. 4 wide and trucks bouncing off each other. Middle of the pack, and the 42, Matt Mills, is up against the wall. He gets slammed into by multiple trucks down the back straightaway, and we're under caution again. Jack Wood was the truck that hit him from behind. He was getting pushed by somebody else into the spinning Mills truck. We're going to have another restart. Enfinger got to the lead quickly over Corey LaJoy. Tony Breidinger also involved in the accident. Mills is still parked on the back straightaway. No way he was going to be able to race back. Therefore, the caution. And we'll have a 3rd overtime at Michigan in this Craftsman Truck Series race. From race of the year to crapshoot. Put in the comment section, it was like an all-time classic movie preceded by a shitty sequel. That's basically what this race has turned into. Had we not had any more action up until 5 to go, this race was a barn burner. Until it wasn't. I mean, this race couldn't have gone any more south. There's still a way it could go more south. It ain't over. We saw 5 overtimes at Phoenix a couple years ago, but we're getting into a 3rd one here today at Michigan. This wreck really doesn't make any sense. I mean, I hate when you have overtime restarts and you got guys wrecking for 20th place at the back of the pack. They weren't that far back, but they were outside the top 10, I think. Like, you guys aren't even going for the win. And you're wrecking. Just like keep it in one piece. You know, what difference does it make if you finish like 9th versus 11th? It doesn't. Those are the wrecks that really don't make any sense to me. I mean, points matter, 1 point per position if you're in a battle for like a playoff position. For that reason, you know, but these aren't the guys that are battling for those spots either, so there goes that argument. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. This race was supposed to be 250 miles. I don't know what lap we're on right now, but this last yellow was lap 132 at the time of the caution. So it's 7 laps past the scheduled distance as of the last caution flag coming out. So at least 10 laps past the scheduled distance by the time we go green and try to get 2 more laps in. So the Belmont's supposed to be coming up on Fox immediately following the finish of this race. I don't even know if we're going to get an interview with the race winner at this point because it is Fox after all. And we got horse racing coming on afterwards. It's a Triple Crown event, by the way, so it's not just like a random horse race on a random Saturday. The Belmont Stakes. I don't know if there's any horse racing fans out there. I mean, I try to watch a Kentucky Derby every year, but that's pretty much about it. I did see that this year. That was when I was down in Texas. After I got done calling the Xfinity race on that Saturday, I went in and watched it. Hostbars are back on pit road.
Jake Garcia, they
Several
were worried
others.
about running out of gas.
Carson will have to start the back. Jake is now going to make it. I don't understand how he made it as far as he did. He runs something.
And interesting on Jake Garcia right there, you see that because of the fact that they had run as long as they did, they've actually got 4 sticker tires left. And I know it's probably not the best thing in the world right now to have to be in the back with those 4 sticker tires, but at least it is 4 sticker tires. Whereas Carson Hocevar, no tires for that, no tires to put on that truck. They've used all their sets up that they were allowed today.
Just limping around under caution, trying to get the track cleaned up. These are the guys that were in, and Tony Breidinger, Tanner Gray, Matt Mills, Jack Wood, all involved in that mess off turn 2.
So this will be our 3rd attempt at NASCAR overtime. Again, it's unlimited as long as they don't take the white flag. Once they take the white flag, the next flag will end the race.
Well, we talked early in the race, Regan, as the laps wind down, these truckers just get more and more aggressive, start pushing harder and harder. And Grant Enfinger with a perfect executed restart here. It's a great start, and then just uses his momentum to swing to the bottom.
And that Michael was such a well-timed move, because if he does that just a little bit later, a little bit sooner, he may not have the opportunity to clear the 07 of Corey LaJoie off of turn 2 right there. And that allows him to actually dictate on the choose as we come to the choose line, or choose cone, excuse me, here in just a moment.
Oh, 3 trucks go up high. That's a gift for Stuart Friesen.
Grant Enfinger, Corey LaJoie, and Ben Rhodes on the outside. You got Matt Crafton. Tip of the hat to him, that 88 team.
Yeah, great day for Matt.
Really?
And Luke Fenhouse, too.
Yeah, a gift for both Friesen and Fenhouse. When you look at how far up those guys were able to pull up, and I'm a little perplexed as to why nobody, I understand the bottom has not been working out, but if you can do it just right, you can slide yourself up. You give yourself an opportunity. Maybe the guy on the outside, has trouble on a restart. We've seen that, and at least you're on the front row with that opportunity to try to go out.
Maybe like Ben thought that Corey LaJoie was going to go low, and so he went high, but then at the last second, Corey went high, and it cost him. What a fast truck we saw Grant Enfinger have earlier. Remember, Regan, when he got out front, he was able just to yard him. He was able to stretch the lead 4 or 5 truck lengths. Stuart Friesen, on the other hand, has not been that fast all day.
And Corey LaJoie, we've not really seen him.
All right, well, we're going to try this all over again. All those guys who were up at the front of the field on the last restart who had never won in the Truck Series before, they're pretty much all in the back now, other than Corey LaJoie. They had to top off on fuel, or they got taken out in an incident. Oh, boy. There's still a few of them up in the top 10. Andres Perez will be around row 3, and then again, Corey LaJoie towards the front. He was in second at the time of the yellow. He's going to be outside of row 2. Luke Fenhouse is inside of row 2. He started on the pole. He led 1 lap. Hasn't really been anywhere near the front since, but now he's in contention again. Grant Enfinger looking for his first win of the season. Same for Stuart Friesen. Playoff shot on the line. Green flag is in the air as they creep to the end of the restart zone here at Michigan. No pushing going on in the front couple rows, so things spread apart. They should make their way through 1 and 2 at least. Hard side draft, the 52 and the 9. Who's going to clear off turn 2? Matt Crafton, 3 wide on the outside, gets above the 99 and the 77 around row 3. If he can get a push from behind, he could be going forward in the right direction. He's getting a push, and it's from Lane Riggs. Still side by side for the lead, and Friesen is now clear of Entfinger. In the middle of 3 and 4, Stuart Friesen is out in front. And the two Truck Series veterans are going to go for the win at Michigan as they come to the white flag. Final lap of the race is the first lap Friesen has led all day. Can he hold on? He lost in a photo finish at Atlanta earlier this season. And as they head for turns 1 and 2, Entfinger is looking to get back to his outside. Friesen, who ran the bottom of the racetrack, may not have the run down the back straightaway, and Entfinger is closing fast. Friesen doesn't try to break the draft, and here comes Grant. As they enter turn number 3, the truck length difference is about a half. Friesen swings wide. Entfinger not going to catch him with a run off turn 4. Checkered flag is waving. And Stuart Friesen will hold on to win at Michigan, his first win in more than 2 seasons. Awesome job, at least for him. Not maybe for the exact finish of the race, but a cool story at the end of it. Stuart Friesen has won again in the Craftsman Truck Series. Pulls it off, leading only the final 2 laps in the third overtime to steal the victory. I don't know where he was running before overtime started. Or I should say specifically before the caution with 5 laps to go and the restart zone happened. I don't know where he was running before that. I don't think he was really in the top 10 for most of the day. So this is a steal if I've ever seen one before. But congratulations nevertheless. Stuart Friesen has won. He was below the cut line for the playoffs. Second week in a row, somebody below the cut line has won. Caruth last week, Friesen this week. 6 different truck regulars have won. 9 different drivers have won a truck race out of 13 in the year 2025. A burnout on the front stretch. Margin of victory was about 1/10 of a second. 9 cautions, 20 lead changes, 47 laps under yellow, 2 hours, 27 minutes, 52 seconds, but that's not including the red flag time we had earlier in the race. We went 14 laps past the scheduled distance of 125, finishing at 139 laps here today. We'll go through the full field finishing order once we get an interview from our race winner on the front stretch, Stuart Friesen. This will probably be the only interview you'll be able to hear because I'm sure Fox will be going off the air very shortly with how long the race went.
Wondering if you ought to quit to standing in victory lane in Michigan.
How about that? Niagara on the Lake, Canada is where he is from. A lot of Canadians come out to this race. What a moment. The fans turned out. They got a show. It took us a while to get there here in the closing laps, but we did it.
Oh, Canada.
Take that helmet, run up the track, and pick up that checkered flag. I think he's in shock right now. What just transpired?
I am. I'm sure he's got to be a little bit surprised that he was able to pull that victory off.
See the climb the fence.
Whatever shock he's in, he's still got a little bit of energy left to get up that fence. And hold on, Stuart.
That was a long race. He anticipated about a 3 hours. And his team there to celebrate the win. Caitlin Mincy.
Well, you can hear the elation on the radio from Stuart Friesen. You see the joy from the team as well, congratulating Stuart on a very hard-fought win, a crazy closing laps in this race. Stuart, we talked earlier today about how this season has been a bit of a struggle. How rewarding is this one for you?
I don't even know what to say. Thank you to Chris Halmar, Mohawk Northeast, TRD, all our great product sponsors, all these badass race fans. I know there's a lot of Canadians, there's a lot of Americans. Everybody's having a good time together, and that's what it's all about.
There you have it, Stuart Friesen. He is the big winner here in Michigan.
Man, that was a brief interview. I think it's because Fox is trying to get off the air right now. Well, maybe not. Here's Grant Entfinger with Josh Sims. Entfinger finished second.
First of all, hats off to Jeff and Tim Theodore all day. They kept us in the game. We weren't as good as we thought we were in practice, but man, Jeff kept slinging stuff at it. He got gutsy with both of those calls. The call to stay out and then the call to pit late. Timmy did a great job getting us out of the mess. Circumstances, I think we had a good short run champion power equipment Chevy. Just got fortunate to be put in that position. Felt like we executed that first, or I guess the second to last restart pretty well. And man, I needed a little push from my buddy Corey there on the back straightaway. Maybe I could have side drafted harder to Stewart going into three, so he wouldn't clear me. But I felt like if I did that, they'd be coming with a big run on top. So I don't know. I have to look back with it. Feel like all in all, we executed to the best of our ability, and just wasn't meant to be. A little bittersweet, but overall, great execution by our guys.
Runner-up finish for Durant and Finger. Jimmy?
Well, to kind of briefly break down this race, like I said, I thought it was the race of the year across all three series up until the 5 lap to go restart zone caution. And then after that point, it turned into a bit of a crapshoot, but nevertheless, Stuart Friesen gets the victory. Margin of victory, again, about a tenth of a second as it crossed the start-finish line on lap 139, which was the fastest lap of the race for each of those top 5 drivers as well, who were basically back in traffic for most of the day. Stuart Friesen, though, with this first win of the season, has punched his ticket to the playoffs for the Craftsman Truck Series. Grant Enfinger finishes in second, still in search for his first win of the year. Luke Fenhouse finishes in third after starting on the pole. Not a lot in between there, but he did lead a lap today and was up in contention late. Ultimately gets a podium finish. Ben Rhodes ends up in fourth. Corey LaJoy rounds out the top 5 in fifth. Matt Kraft in sixth. Seventh for Jake Garcia. Chandler Smith eighth. Andres Perez ninth. Lane Riggs rounds out the top 10. Carson Hocevar ends up 11th. Gio Ruggiero in 12th. Dawson Sutton 13th. Frankie Muniz 14th. And Ty Majeski 15th. 16th for Spencer Boyd. Tanner Gray 17th. Corey Heim 18th. Connor Mosack 19th. And he was the last truck that finished on the lead lap, so 19 of them there. Jack Wood ends up first truck off the lead lap, 3 laps down in 20th with a DNF. I think everybody from 20th on back DNF today, so 13 total did not finish. Jack Wood, then Caton Honeycutt, Tony Breidinger, Matt Mills. Honeycutt 21st, 22nd for Breidinger, and then Mills 23rd. Tyler Ankrum 24th, Josh Reum 25th, Ross Chastain 26th, Daniel Hemrick 27th, Lawless Allen 28th, Morgan Beard 29th, 30th for Nathan Bird, Roger Crute 31st, and Norm Benning 32nd rounds out the field. That is the finishing order for today's Craftsman Truck Series race at Michigan, the DQS Solutions and Staffing 250. That is going to wrap up our live commentary coverage for this weekend. What a wild race this was. If you wanted to hear the peak commentary and the peak portion of the race, I would highly recommend going back in the stream to about, 20 laps to go down to that last caution. Not the last caution. I should say would have been the debris caution on the back straightaway with the tire carcass from Lane Riggs. Whatever lap that came out on, I don't even know at this point. Ran so many laps past the scheduled distance. Up until that point, that's about as good of racing as you're going to get. That was a great battle between those 6 drivers for the race win, and I don't think any of them were a clear favorite or a clear runaway to get the win, especially with these slingshot moves and what you were able to do in the draft to pass one driver over another. Thank you so much for watching this weekend, whether it was during this stream that is just wrapping up right now or the practice and qualifying live stream earlier today for the Cup Series. That took place in the morning. Our 6 hours of streaming is about over now. Appreciate everybody tuning in. No Xfinity Series this weekend. And again, for the Cup Series, I will be at Michigan International Speedway tomorrow for that Cup date. Be sure to check out the channel tomorrow evening. There will be race highlights uploaded from the grandstands later that night whenever I get home to be able to upload after the finish. I'm not driving there. We're carpooling. We'll have multiple vehicles going there because I got a bunch of family that will be at the track. So I should be able to edit on the way back, which means as soon as I get home, I can upload it. So it just depends on traffic getting out of there, which can be kind of tough when you leave a sporting event, especially a NASCAR race. It looks like the crowd's going to be packed tomorrow. So I would probably expect there to be about 80,000 people. If I don't get out of there exactly quick, it might not be until like 8, 9 o'clock tomorrow evening that it will be uploaded, but I will get that uploaded as soon as I can. Be on the lookout again for that. I will see you guys next time. We have Mexico City next week. No truck racing next week, but Xfinity Cup action, Cup practice and qualifying. We'll have all day Saturday and Sunday coverage for NASCAR at Mexico City. All on Amazon Prime for the Cup Series and CW for the race tomorrow, everybody. And enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Have a good one.